right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of Common Sense. How's everybody doing tonight? Want to give a big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party. Guys, that is the best part. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. Went live yesterday, so hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and you will never, ever miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Let's also say thank you to my6shirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, this is the only place you get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. We got a special episode today. I am welcoming my good friend and YouTuber, Melted Mind Media. What is good? Welcome to the party. Who are you? Let the people know, and where can they find you?
What's up, guys? I'm Melted Mind, and I have a small YouTube channel called Melted Mind Media. I'm going to start doing videos very soon, talking about politics and culture going on around the world, and just switching up topics and doing the things that I want to do, man.
Beautiful. So I just dropped the link to that channel in the chat. Please go check him out. So we have been talking a lot about in the Discord, private Discord server that is free, by the way, guys. Don't forget, it is free to join. We've been talking a lot about firearms and just guns and stuff. And I don't really know much about guns. So we were talking about Alec Baldwin, and so I figured that would be a good way to frame this conversation as kind of, and maybe this will become a series of learning about guns. And I used to be a super liberal, completely ignorant on guns, and I just thought they were bad because only bad people have guns and all that stuff. And I would vote against them. And I feel like that is so many people. So many people just don't know. And they assume that there's nothing to know. Like, oh, why do you need that for hunting? Like, that's the question of somebody who doesn't know what they don't know. And so I am now one of the people who I do know what I don't know. And there's a lot of it. Hey, we got Dan Jensen in the building. Welcome to the party. Hello to you, sir. Hello. Welcome to the party. So Melty, you mind if I call you Melty?
That's fine.
All right, Melty. So, what do you think is the biggest thing that, these default liberals that would ask a question like that? What do you think? Where do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from, politicians in the media pushing a fear and a lack of knowledge about guns. It's just, I think it's a basic lack of knowledge of guns that makes it to where liberals don't want guns. It's also an idea of not needing them because they don't need them on a daily basis like other people do. So
interesting. So why don't we do this? Let's jump into this video here that we have for some of the latest that's going on with Alec Baldwin. If you're not familiar, he shot a chick, and this is the latest.
Police in New Mexico have released footage from a film set of the moments after the fatal shooting of a cinematographer last year. Helena Hutchins, who was 42, was working on the film Rust. She died after a prop gun held by the actor Alec Baldwin discharged. He's previously said he didn't pull the trigger and had no idea how a live bullet came to be on the set.
Hey, we got Nick in the building. Welcome to the party, brother. How are you doing? Hope you are doing well as well. Welcome.
David Willis reports from Los Angeles.
Alec Baldwin rehearsing his quick draw only moments before a film set was transformed into a crime scene. The incident sent police racing to the sprawling desert ranch in New Mexico. Newly released police body cam footage shows the chaos that confronted them on arrival. 42-year-old filmmaker Helena Hutchins, regarded as a rising star in the movie industry, was airlifted to a nearby hospital where she later died.
Are you doing okay? No, I'm not, actually.
Yeah,
Alec
that's a stupid
Baldwin, who
question.
was both the star of the film and one of its producers, appeared stunned and disbelieving.
Associate or what to do. Okay. You tell me what to do.
He said he didn't pull the trigger and he didn't know who put a live round in the weapon he fired. The newly released footage also includes his first interview with the police.
Oh,
I
okay.
take the gun out, and as I take, like as it clears, as the barrel clears, I'll turn and cock the gun over here. I turn and cock the gun goes off.
It should have been a cold gun with no rounds inside or dummy rounds, cosmetic rounds, no flash.
What is this? Why is this all
slowly?
like
I turn, I cock the pistol, bang, it goes up. She hits the ground. She goes down. And then he starts screaming. And I'm thinking, in a flash round, I could see maybe if there was wadding or there's some stuff like that that's hot, and maybe it hits you and burns you. As they say, sometimes that happens. But remember, we're rehearsing, so no one's protected.
No one's
Last week,
protected.
local safety officials issued a report detailing safety failures on the set and fined the producers the maximum possible penalty of nearly $140,000. Inquiries are continuing, and detectives say they're still awaiting the results of ballistics and forensic analysis, along with an analysis of Alec Baldwin's phone data before they
that's gonna
decide
be
whether
interesting.
to press charges. David Willis, BBC News.
So I guess the first question is, when we look at the official narrative, or let's not even call it the official narrative, let's call it Alec Baldwin's narrative, when specifically when he was talking to the cops and what we've heard in the media so far, how reasonable is it that it was just a random accident that happened exactly like he said?
So the weapon that he was using is a single action revolver. And he said that he cocked the weapon and aimed it at her. And when you cock a single action revolver, if there is a round in the chamber while the gun is cocked, when that chamber goes forward at any, but not any speed, but at enough speed to where it's like half cock or whatever, it will, like if it's cocked
That was my
halfway or
nickname
whatever.
in college.
Yeah. But it can set off the round. So
Okay, so it is possible. Then let's say what percent? How likely do you think that is? Are we talking like 50-50? Are we talking 75% probably happened the way he said? 75% probably it had nothing to do with what he said and he's full of ish. Where do you put that?
I think he's full of ish. I think.
All right. So, as I've mentioned many times before, I am very much not familiar with firearms and how they work, and I've been schooled on the importance of their presence in our culture and all that stuff. But so you're using all these terms like single action and round in the chain, all this stuff. So why don't we just rewind all the way back? What is a gun?
Okay.
Let's start there. What is a gun?
A gun. So the definition of a gun is.
Well, I could have just Googled it.
Yeah, exactly. We should just Google it because it depends where you're from. So
but there's
a weapon.
Okay.
A weapon in. Oh my gosh. A weapon incorporating a metal tube which bullets, shells, and other missiles are propelled by explosive forces, typically making a characteristically loud and sharp noise.
Okay.
From
So it's a weapon.
dictionary.com.
It's got a metal tube. It projects some type of bullet or missile and is based on explosive, and it is loud. So anything that would do that can be considered a gun. So then if I have like a bottle rocket type thing. And there we go. Do we count a bottle rocket as a gun? That would fit that definition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So so there's this idea of what is a gun is very wide ranging. So what kind of hey, we got Tread Guy Travels in the building. Welcome to the party, brother. Glad to see you. I'm trying to get educated on guns right now. So the what are the specific gun that was used by Alec Baldwin? What is so special about that gun that it's reasonable that this would just, go off like that.
So how a revolver or a single action revolver, exactly like he had,
Single
is
action. So let's break
yeah.
all of that down. What does single
Okay.
action mean?
So single action is where when the hammer of the gun, right? So a hammer on the gun is when you pull. Dude, I wish I had a revolver here with me to show you this. Here.
Let's not put any on screen. Let's try to
Okay.
get under the filters.
Okay.
Probably
Yeah,
not,
I get
but
you. So the hammer is like when you aim a gun, right? When you pull back on the hammer, that yes, exactly. Like in a movie when you'd see like cowboy movies, when you pull on that hammer, that is going to lock back there's two different areas where that'll lock back at. It's one's a safety lock called half cock. And then that is designed to where it's harder for it to fly forward and it's closer to the actual bullet where the firing, like it's actually closer, the fire pin's closer to the bullet. So it's less likely when it gets hit. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's less likely when it gets hit, it'll actually hit the bullet hard enough to set it off. But when you're in full cock, it is pulled all the way back and you can actually pull the trigger and it will fly forward. But when
good one, Travel says, "What is a gun?" Most people are still busy trying to figure out what a woman is. Facts. But unlike them, we are over here. Yeah, right. Unlike them, we're over here, or at least I'm over here, completely naked. I have no idea what we're talking about, and I want to learn. So I'm not ashamed to say I don't know what's going on, and that's why we got Melty here to help us out. So you're saying?
So at full cock, when the hammers pull all the way back, you can actually pull the trigger and it will send it forward fast enough to set off the round. So if he cocked the gun all the way back and aimed that at her
from here and cocks it all the way
back,
opposed to it, and so if that's not cocked, that's half cocked, and that's a full cock. Okay,
exactly.
So he had to pull it all the way back.
Yes. So if he fully cocked the weapon, like he said, so when you do that, there's two ways you can get it out of that, is to pull it all the way back again and hold it down, and then pull the trigger slowly as you let it forward slowly back into uncocked. And then there's where you pull it back, or where you pull the trigger and let it go and it fires. But
so
I guess there's three ways where you could hit it and it goes off, where like you smack it hard enough to where the hammer goes, like we're talking about earlier.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So so can you talk about the actual? So all right, let's this single action you were saying is dependent on the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
well, it's more dependent on the trigger system, but the difference between them is how the hammer works.
Right. So we're talking about what is single action, and so now we see that essentially, aside from the slow release, there's the half cock, which is the safety, and the full cock. Again, get us back to single action. So single action, you pull the hammer back.
So when he pulls that hammer back, and let's say he says he didn't pull the trigger, so that means that he had to have let it forward, pulled it all the way back, and then tried to let it forward. So he had to have still aimed at her, move the trigger, press the trigger to move it forward. So there's no way he did not pull the trigger to try and uncock the weapon and aimed at her.
Right. So you're saying if he has the gun fully cocked, then there's only it's already cocked, so the only way is to actually shoot it or to do that slow thing so that the hammer doesn't hit. And he said in the video that he did not pull the trigger, that he just cocked it and it went off. And so, but you said that was possible. So that would that just be like a malfunction with the gun, or is that something mechanical that can happen with guns if you're not using them properly?
That would be like he didn't fully cock it all the way back. and then like he started pulling it back, and his thumb slipped, and it
Hold
just
on, your
like
hands not on your hand. I can't see your
yeah,
hand.
I get you. So like when you pulling it all the way back, let's say, oh, my thumb slipped, and it just in the blink of an eye before he could even notice it, it is like it just goes off in his hand, like your thumb slips off of the hammer.
So, but I thought if you cock it into full cock, then you were just saying the only way is to pull the trigger.
Well, so if he said that he was cocking it, well, I guess if he had it fully cocked, there's no other way that he could have done it. But if he's saying like as he's cocking it, it just went off in his hand, like he's like, I'm cocking it all the way, and then it just goes off.
Why don't we take another look at the actual footage and what he says?
Mhm.
So
I take the gun out,
I take the gun out,
and then like as it clears, as the barrel clears the whole.
okay, as the barrel clears. So tell me what just act like I have no idea what barrel or anything is.
So it clears. So it's in. Imagine that's your waist. It's in his holster. So as the barrel clears the holster, I'm thinking as he's saying. So what he's trying to say is as he's clearing it, he's using his thumb.
So clearing it meaning clearing it out of the holster. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he's cocking it as he's aiming. So like as he's aiming, he's cocking it, right?
So he's pulling it out. It's cleared, and then it goes from that non-cock to full cock, and then
so like as he's pulling it out, he aims it and he's cocking it. As he's aiming it at her, he's probably cocking it, trying to get a good angle for a scene,
right?
For the movie that they're shooting, and as he's doing that,
we're shooting.
Huh? Well, yeah, yeah. Oh no, they are. Did you not see that?
No, they're still going with it. I did not see that. I did not
going with it. Yeah, he's cleared of all charges. He doesn't have to do anything. Yeah, that is a lot of cock.
Aren't you used to it, Dan?
That is a lot of cock, man.
Interesting. Okay, so then what is that is a single action. So I've heard a lot of questions about the fact that they shouldn't have been using a real single action gun like that. Is that just meaning they shouldn't be using a real gun regardless of what type of gun they're using? Or is that saying to use a single action gun is inherently more dangerous than, I don't know, a Glock, obviously, which wouldn't be in a Western, but just that's the only gun. That's the only other gun I know besides an AR-15.
Guns should always be treated as if they're loaded, and that they're not like you shouldn't have your finger on the trigger. You shouldn't be aiming them at people. And that's one of the things. A single action revolver, like they do make versions that look real. Like there's like airsoft versions and stuff like that look pretty real. But the fact they're using a real gun, like let's say he did have a blank in that, there have been people that have died blanks going off from being too close to him or something being in the barrel. Like Bruce Lee's son in The Crow died because it wasn't even a blank. It was an air gun. It was a fake gun still, but this was before airsoft. This was like the 90s when they didn't have, so like they were probably using a big compressor gun that released a lot of air at once, and it had something in the barrel, and it killed Brandon Lee. That's what his name was.
Right.
But so when you're aiming, you shouldn't be aiming guns at people. That's why now, because of Brandon Lee, there's actually a rule about how you shoot scenes like that where they aim guns at people.
Okay.
You actually don't have anyone behind the camera in the scene. We have technology where you can look at the camera through a freaking iPad around the corner. This was not how this should have been shot at all in this scene. From what I've heard, this was not even where this wasn't even supposed to be shot. Like this scene wasn't supposed to be shot.
Yeah, I'm kind of where Dan is. Why is it even legal to have a gun that can shoot a live bullet on the set? Kind of in the same way of, that's kind of a great question, Dan. So maybe a better way to frame it is there a benefit to the movie by using a real gun as opposed to a fake gun?
It looks way realer, but from what Dan was asking, it is not legal to actually have live rounds on set. There were 6 rounds found on set in multiple different locations, that there were 2 found in the prop van. There were 2 found on a secondary actor's belt, and 2 found on Alec Baldwin's belt.
So they were just
One
all
of
over.
those so happened to, or not 2 in the belt. There was 1 in the belt and 1 in the gun that was fired. That is the 6th one, the one that was fired.
Okay.
So it's illegal. They shouldn't have bullets on set. That's it's not legal. That is why the person, the
armor?
firearms expert that they the armor that they had on set is having charges filed against her.
Gotcha. Well, I have another video here we could check out. This is from a another armorer type person who works in the field. Let's see what they're saying. Again, this is, this isn't brand new news, so I'm sure you guys have heard about this, but some local thing here.
Thank you, Marilla.
So what's the standard on a movie set for weapons? Who checks them before they get on set? Who checks them once they are on set?
So the armorer is the person who's handling the firearms all the time. They're solely responsible for the transportation, for the safety, for locking them up when they're not being used at the end of the night, making sure that there are no problems on a set that could cause anyone any harm. And they're also in charge of bringing them onto the set.
I just realized this guy's on a green screen. This isn't a real wall. You can see the green screen around him.
When they're needed, handing them into the actor's hands.
Oh my gosh, it isn't.
They go in.
I don't think that's even a green screen, dude. I think that's like Facebook, like filter, like where it's the fake green screen where it's like cuts you out and places you in.
It might be. It might be. What a loser. All right.
It's like, oh, expert.
This time we had an assistant director who was on set who handed the gun to Alec Baldwin. Is that unusual?
Yes, it is, but
okay,
it happens way too many times.
So it sounds like one of those things that is not protocol, but is something that people do anyway.
Yeah.
People get sloppy and complacent, just like any industry that they're in. People in the movie business, they like to move fast. Time is money, and a lot of productions start off following everything by the book, and as the shoot progresses, things kind of taper off a little bit, and people get a little more
good point, Nick,
lax with the rules. But that person should not have been handling the firearms whatsoever.
Okay, Thomas, let me ask you about actors. Do they get trained on how to handle them?
They should.
So actors,
I would hope so.
Absolutely do get trained in firearm safety. They don't get trained enough. A lot of actors can choose whether or not they want to. I know Alec Baldwin refused training for this particular.
Alec Baldwin refused training.
Well, even look at the biggest action star right now in the world, John Wick, freaking Keanu Reeves. The amount of training he does for his movies by himself with Terran Tactical on YouTube. He does tons of training with guns and weapons.
Yeah. So for him to be, I mean, we already know that Alec Baldwin is, Eric Baldwin. That's why I was in that movie, because he is that guy. So, but okay. So we were looking at the actual interview. So he's saying that the gun clears the holster, pulls it out, he cocks it, and it just and that's where we are. So
hooey.
I take the gun out.
Take the gun.
And as it clears, as the barrel clears the hole.
Oh yeah, okay. So he said as the barrel clears the hole.
Turn and cock the gun over here. I turn and cock the gun goes off.
So again, the for him to cock it and it to just go off without him hitting the trigger, he would have to have pulled it back and then pulled it all the way back to yeah. Again, I'm still confused on, did he have to pull the trigger or not?
That's he could. That's the thing. I think this is just a case of lying to the police. Like, you just, like, he cocked the gun. Like, he's saying he cocked the gun, and then like it just went off. It just doesn't go off in your hand.
Okay, so that sounds like a lie.
The barrel clears the whole, turn and cock the gun over here. I turn and cock the gun goes off.
But you can even see in his hand motion that he does a trigger pulling motion. Now I'm not gonna read too much into that, but I mean they even have a red little box if you saw it that goes over his hand.
Barrel clears the whole, turn and cock the gun over here. I turn and cock the gun goes off.
Yeah. So he does that. Again, I don't want to put too much into that, but let's hear. So gun goes off.
A cold gun
Should have been a cold gun.
No rounds inside or dummy rounds, cosmetic rounds. No flash. I take the gun out slowly. I turn, I cock the pistol. Bang! It goes up. She hits the ground. She goes down, and then he starts screaming.
He got hit too. So if again we're talking about this single action revolver, there's no way for it to go off without him pulling the trigger once it's cocked. He's saying it's cocked. So if he cocks it, then the only way for that to happen would be for him to pull the trigger. So essentially, we're saying that that's a lie. Now, I could see, or let me throw it to you. How reasonable is it that somebody who refused training on for a movie like this is handling a real gun and they pull the trigger by accident in that motion, and they do that in one motion, so that he thinks he's just doing that, but he's actually doing both.
I would say it's super likely. Like it, I know plenty of people that have been trained with weapons. I have multiple weapons and I know how to use them, and people make mistakes all the time. That's why you have these rules that you're supposed to follow, like about not aiming the gun at people and
right.
not
There's
your
four
finger
big
on the
ones, right?
trigger.
There's the four big pillars. What are they?
The first rule is to not aim the gun at anybody at all. Like that is rule number one. The second rule is to not have your finger on the trigger ever. Like finger discipline is very important. And then the third is to make sure there's no round in the chamber. And the reason why that's not the first one is because you don't want to be aiming the gun at anybody if you don't know there's a freaking round in the chamber or not. And then the fourth one is oh my gosh, this one is the one everyone forgets, dude.
It's what pay attention to what's behind your target, right?
Yes. Don't shoot at anything. Don't shoot at anything you are not willing to destroy.
Right. Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he clearly wasn't following those rules. So let's move away from the actual Alec Baldwin thing for just a second. Nick, I think you might be right. I think he was drunk. I mean, I was going to say he sounds drunk in this interview.
Just at the beginning of the video that we watched, he goes, when the cops, how are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm not doing good. Like he's not upset he killed somebody. He's hungover.
Yeah, it's all making sense. It's all making sense. So can you talk to me a little bit about, again, going all the way back, like you're talking to a kindergartner, how is it that we've obviously media manipulation and stuff, but how is it that we've got to a place where like one little piece on the back or a certain type of material can make a gun legal or illegal? Is that obviously that's a matter of ignorance, but how important are those pieces? So like if you have a gun that's legal and then you make it illegal by one of these parts, what are you actually doing anything? Is there any weight to those kind of laws, or is it really just arbitrary?
They're arbitrary. I can name some specific ones, like the bump stock ban. That's happening at the end of this month. That is going into effect it is under lawsuit.
Okay, so what's a bump stock?
I'm not sorry, not bump stock. That happened when Trump was in office, was the bump stock ban. This one that's coming up is the short barrel rifle ban. But you could, whichever one I could go over both if you'd like me to.
Please.
Okay, so a bump stock is the stock. You don't want me showing guns, never mind. Okay, so it is the stock of the rifle. So like when you're holding up the rifle, the back part that goes up against your shoulder. So there is a mechanism in that would have it go back and forth on your shoulder. So like as you're firing it, it goes back and forth. So you leave your trigger finger loose. So the back and forth, the back and forth motion of the recoil allows the gun to go against your finger again, allowing a constant repeating motion. But
So
it
is
didn't
that
classify.
that would turn a semi-automatic essentially into an automatic?
No, because
Why
by
is that?
ATF definition, it is one trigger pull per like for the bullet.
Mm.
So you are pulling
But
the trigger
essentially, right.
one time.
Right. But essentially,
Yeah,
it's
essentially.
you're doing one pull and you're getting a whole bunch of pews.
Yeah,
So,
it's
like that makes sense to me. I mean, in terms of if we're thinking that there are limitations that we want to have on guns, and we already have laws that automatic weapons are not easily and readily available, that makes sense that you wouldn't have that. So
I would say I understand what you're saying. Constitutionally, no, it does not to me make sense. But
and I agree with you there, because
yeah.
but that's pretty much blanket for everything.
Yeah, like
So if we
you
want to get
were
into the nuance to understand these things a little better,
if you were a liberal and you were to be like fully automatic weapons are illegal, and these make the media, and pretty much if you went and looked up a video on them, it made them look fully automatic. But if you were to buy one, it would take a lot of practice to make it to where you could dump a whole entire mag without it slowing down. Because if you don't, like, if your finger moves at all, a little forward, a little backward too much, it'll stop firing, and you'll have to get it back off your shoulder and get it back into position and start shooting again. But it's pretty much, if you're good and you've used it for a long time, you can pretty much use it like a full auto weapon.
all right. So so Nick says none of these things actually make the firearm inherently less deadly, and change in ergonomics, but not a big deal. Fair enough. Yeah, and I mean, again, I agree with the Second Amendment. So if the the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment, we're just trying to get or I'm trying to get a better understanding of the minutia and the details. So why don't we then take so all right, Nick's bringing up the pistol brace ban. Tell me about the pistol brace ban.
So that's what I was talking about. That is coming up at the end of this month for the ATF. It is not a law. It is a oh my gosh, it is a rule. So you can break rules, right? You can't.
I mean, you can break laws too, but
well, yeah, but you can't. Breaking rules do not apply legal action, even though this is a rule that applies legal action, a federal legal action.
So then what are you using to differentiate that it's not a law, but it's a rule?
It's literally the barrel length of a rifle.
No. But what makes it a rule and not a law?
The ATF. So the ATF made this, not the
Haram!
Oh my gosh, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did not pass this. The ATF passed this.
Okay, so you're just saying legally it's not
technically a cop does not have to enforce this at all.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. But
yep. Good.
What makes the difference between what a normal rifle would be and a short barreled rifle is the barrel length, and anything underneath 16 inches is classified, and with a stock is classified as a short barreled rifle. So hold
on one second. We got David Banner in the building. Welcome to the party. So he did murder that woman. If he meant to or not is what makes him guilty. Well said. We were just Melty here was just telling me about the pistol brace ban.
Huh?
The pistol brace ban?
Yes. Sorry, I was reading David's comment. So with it's the barrel, it being under 16 inches and having a stock makes it illegal. So they banned these braces that you can buy that so it would, when you would hold the gun, it was the difference between a normal stock and a pistol brace is a strap that is on the bottom of it. So when you hold it like a pistol, because it has such a short barrel, you can strap it along your forearm to give more like stability.
Okay.
That's how they're supposed to be
So
used according to the
this is a gun.
ATF.
This is a gun that that has a
And
barrel and a stock, but it's a
imagine
shorter barrel.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So this is any rifle caliber weapon. So AKs with barrels that are under 16 inches. This is ARs of any type. My bad. This is AR of any type. Just any rifle at all with a barrel underneath 16 inches is pretty much classified.
So let's get into that a little bit, because you know, to somebody who is uninitiated, you know, AR, AK, 227, there's a lot of jargon. So what do all these things mean? Like, you know, we know, well, some of us know, even though we don't know anything. A lot of us know that AR doesn't stand for assault rifle; it stands for Armalite. But like, is that like the standard thing? Is just the brand?
Yeah, it's the name of the weapon. It's the it's not the brand name, because a lot of these weapons are like it's like when licenses go bad for like when Mickey Mouse is coming up. Like these companies are going to be able to make Mickey Mouse art and not get in trouble for that at all when the copyright's up. So a lot of like the AK is a type of weapon that a lot of companies can either get a license for from Kalashnikov, which is the brand that made AK, that made the original one. And then they can buy a license and make that design of weapon and sell it. So like, and when you talk about an AR, it was made by Armalite, but like other companies like Palmetto and Colt that got the original license from Armalite can now make these weapons and sell them. And it's pretty much the design of the weapon is what I'm talking about when I say AR or AK or anything like that.
Okay, so it doesn't really tell you, like, if you never heard of the, you know, the letter combination before, you wouldn't be able to deduce what it is based on your previous knowledge.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say just rifle. Yeah, I would say a better word I would use would just be like a rifle.
And so because I was thinking if there is, you know, a way to, you know, to learn a shorthand, but I guess if it's just it is what it is. Dan says, is there any way for an actor to know or see if a gun has a live round or a fake round? Great question.
It's especially easy on a revolver, but yeah, you can, if you have a gun in your hand, and you can always check to see if there's a live round in it by safely uncocking the weapon. Or if the weapon's not like the revolver, he didn't have they're not cocked in the first place. So he could easily undo the chamber and have like the cylinder. He could easily have opened the cylinder and looked at the rounds safely without having anything like any rounds in the barrel or anything touching the firing pin. He could have done it safely and looked at the ammo.
I heard that was not how it's supposed to go. That once the person who checks it, then you don't touch it, because the expert has checked it. And if you don't even have to go through the type of training, is that, or are we just saying that, you know, that's how it should be, but it's likely not.
He could have. If what David's asking, could he have? Yes. And I think from that video you were showing us, they said with the armor, he did say that some actors can check their weapons. But I have heard a video of George Clooney talking about when he was handed a weapon, how he would always check the firearm to see what ammo he had loaded into it. But also, I see George Clooney doing a bunch of action movies. When do you see Alec Baldwin doing something that's not a romantic comedy?
Right.
Or Cat in the Hat.
I don't think I saw that one. I think I might have been.
You did not see the Mike Myers Cat in the Hat movie?
I don't think so.
That was my childhood.
I might have been a little bit too old for that by that time.
Probably.
So again, I guess then, you know, as the guy was saying, well, let's just go back to the video here.
So actors,
what's her name? The anchor was asking whether or not actors get training for this.
Absolutely do get trained in firearm safety. They don't get trained enough. A lot of actors can choose whether or not they want to. I know Alec Baldwin refused training for this particular project. He probably thinks that, you know, he doesn't have to because he's been in a few movies where he's used firearms. Who knows how much training he's had in the past. It is a skill that you can lose if you don't continue to use it.
You gotta use it or lose it. Dan says, but is there a difference between a live bullet and a fake? And can you see what is in there just by looking at the bullet?
Would you mind pulling up a picture of it, what a blank round looks like?
Sure. So give me.
Yeah, no, you're good. It'd be a lot easier to tell the difference.
So let's get rid of that. So what does it say?
So yeah, that's perfect. That right there is perfect. So those three on the left are blank rounds. So you see how they are crimped end like that. So that metal is attached to the cartridge, and it is crimped to where when the powder goes out, that crimping opens and just the powder goes out and just you get the bang and the flash, while the ones on the right have the bullets actually in them.
So this would be the shell, and there's the gunpowder and whatever else in there, and this goes, and then this becomes the projectile. Whereas it's connected to this and doesn't have its own shell and just has the gunpowder in there.
Yeah. Yes.
Gotcha. So, but what about from the back end? Because you're saying he could have opened the cylinder, but to see the top of the bullet, he would have to point the gun at his face. No.
You could. So when you open it up, you can. Well, no. When you have it open, like the cylinder open like that, and it's out, it's away from the barrel, and it's out from the barrel, and there's no bullets behind it, so he can flip it around and look at it without aiming it in his face.
Oh, I get you. So like,
yeah,
instead of going like that,
yeah, like
go this way. Gotcha.
Yeah, like he's holding it. He can hold it to the side and look at it while he has it open, and see what he has in it. But he could just unload them. It's 6 bullets. He can unload them all into his hand and look at them and reload them real quick. But something I did want to bring up about what was different during the shoot than from other ones I've heard is because this one was done during COVID. The armorer actually could not be on the set at the time due to COVID mandates of people in areas. Amount of people in certain areas, so they kicked her off set due to that. So she could not be in sight of the gun. So when her legal right, or like represent, like her whole thing is that she has witness and eyes on that gun the whole entire time. When she loses sight on that gun, and as I was saying earlier, he had rounds on a live round on him, and he had time to reload that weapon, maybe with no one looking, like turn around, like, oh, I'm just checking it real quick and switch a bullet in there.
How dare you?
Shady. So Nick says, I would only use a gun I have loaded, so I know what's in it. Blank, let alone live ammunition. That shouldn't be on set. It sounds like the safe way to go. So you have to take the bullet out of the cylinder to see.
No, you do not. To look at the bullet, like it's a lot smarter to do that. I would not want to be sticking a gun in my face. I would definitely want to take them out and put them in my hand.
So I think what he is what he's asking is that if you're not expecting live rounds in the gun, then even if you open it and you do just see the back, just you see that it is loaded with the blank so that you get the effect. At that point, can you see a difference?
No, because if you're using blank rounds, if you're using rubber rounds, yes, you can. It's a very clear difference when you're looking at the back. They probably would have an obvious difference with how a primer looks. So like that's like the center point of like what the firing pin hits. Like if you could look at,
is there something
like is that one? Oh my gosh, the one of the back of the bullet, like not the shell.
Give me a row. Give me a row. Which row? First row, second row, third row.
It would be second row, 5th picture from the right.
This one or this one?
Second row.
Oh, second row, 5th one. This one?
Yeah. Yes. So that right there, that circle in the middle.
Oh, come on. What the hell?
Oh, dude, are we
Wrong
buying
one.
ammo now? Dude, be careful in New Jersey, bro. Looking
I
up
know,
that,
right?
bro. You need a license to buy pistol ammo, buddy.
All right.
That's
there we
good.
go.
That's good enough right there.
There
So those are another blanks. Like those are, it's the metal's just crimped around the shell.
So if you can't
But
say Buffalo blanks on the back of
yes.
the
Oh,
blank.
yes, and those ones do. Actually, yeah, you can, because I'm dumb because I sent you that article earlier that said that they had the blanks. Yeah, so you can. If you read that, yes, you can. And that's for the blanks. And then rubber rounds, like that primer you see in the middle. So that's what gives the little bit of heat that would set off the powder. So when the pin, when you cock back the gun and it hits that center point, it will ignite the powder and send the bullet.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
All right. So to answer the big question is, why the F would there ever be live ammo on a movie set? It's for sure incompetence, but was it just negligence or more nefarious? Did someone want to see someone die on set? Those are the big questions, sir. You are correct. The we heard a lot about things like negligent discharges, problems with the crew, and specifically the woman who died. And it does, it begs all of these questions, but without anybody having eyes on the situation, then it's hard to tell. And so they released a lot of that footage, but they don't have the footage of the actual incident, which is odd to me. I would assume that if it was all like, if right before was on camera, what did they stop the camera to? You know what I mean? Where's the footage of it actually happening?
He probably blew it away, dude. Freaking round through the camera.
I mean, wouldn't be out of character.
No. Oh my gosh, what did you just say? Just left my mind. The fact that the fact that there is no footage of the incident, even though this is a studio where this is a movie set, like you
Right.
see behind the scenes stuff all the time in
Yeah.
movies. Like how is this something we don't see? And also I want to know, like, if I was in this jury, I would want to see that information too.
Definitely.
And then
definitely.
oh my gosh, what was I gonna say a second ago? I cannot remember now.
You
Oh,
think-
it was
ahead.
it was his question. It had to do with this question. So why was there live rounds on set? From when I was this was a year ago when I was doing a lot of the research on what was going on during this case and stuff like that. And well, from what I heard, the live rounds were on set was because the boredom was so crazy from how bad this production was and how much no one liked him, that they would use the guns that they would have, the prop weapons, and they would go shoot when they were bored, because if he would leave, like, we're not shooting, I guess we're bored. So they would go shoot guns to have fun.
Yeah,
Which is
that's
that
another
is
thing. And
that's
using
a
the
no-no.
same guns that they're using for the
Mhm.
set, which
And
that's just crazy.
what do you carry this is where I have trouble with it, because I can definitely see where this was an accident, but it's Alec Baldwin and how he's acted and how he's talked about this incident and how everything's going. It doesn't make me feel like he didn't do this like on purpose.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're both fans of Tim Pool, but his big thing is just using Occam's razor, meaning that the solution or conclusion with the least amount of assumptions is likely to be the correct one. That to say that it was an accident, you have to say this went wrong and that went wrong and that went wrong, and he didn't know this and he didn't know that and he didn't know that. But as David said, he did shoot her. Did he know, or did he do it on purpose? Is the real question. So Nick says, I would, but you should be able to trust the weapons expert on set. The problem is there just shouldn't be any live ammunition that could make it into a gun on a movie set. For sure. There was there was reports of a lot of those types of rules just kind of being sloppy on the set. And there was arguments over that, specifically with the woman who died. Dan says, are there rules for these actors to check those guns? So from what I understand, there's a whole process of what is supposed to be done. But as the guy in the video was saying, that people will often just not follow it.
Yeah, just a rarely followed rule, which is it's sad to see that for Hollywood to think guns are so dangerous. This is their
Right. That's a
we'll say,
great
like
point.
the people that think guns are so dangerous also have the worst care for weapons.
Hollywood, am I right? Hey, we got Split in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. How are you doing?
Yes.
David says, so should whoever brought the ammo also be responsible? I would say no, because I don't think possessing ammo is anything. But
it depends. I've heard that there is I don't know if it's there, as again, it's rule law if you can get legally in trouble for it or what could happen. You are not supposed to have live rounds on a movie set. That is against the Actors Association. What is that called? That is against
Actors
that, I'm
Guild?
pretty sure. Yeah, the Actors Guild. That I think
Hmm.
pretty sure that's against that. So I don't know legal bounds or job wise, like what could be done about that, but I don't think he could get legally in trouble for that. But you got to ask the question of does someone pointing a gun at someone, aiming at them and cocking the gun and it going off and the bullet hitting them, does that make you does that make you legally like liable if it's an accident or not or whatever? Like what's because you people can lie. He's an actor. Like his whole career has been him lying about who he is and what he does.
Exactly. David says that's a great point. They advocate for taking your guns away, but can't be bothered to even check the gun they are shooting on set. California, man, California. All right, so why don't we jump back into the video with the prop master here? Let's just back it up and see what he was saying here.
It is a skill that you can.
So he was saying that Alec Baldwin refused training. That the news anchor asked, do these actors get training? And he said, yes, they're supposed to, but it's also not something. Again, it's Hollywood. So if you don't want to do something, you can just not do it.
Lose if you don't continue to use it.
Skill
but any movie where any actor is handling a firearm, they should go through all of the same training and licensing that anyone who owns a real firearm should have to.
But you know that he refused specifically for this movie not to be retrained?
I believe that was in a few of the articles that have already been published online that he refused training.
How dare he? So Dan has an interesting question. Can you track those live rounds and see who bought them or brought them to the set? I wouldn't think there's anything specific about the actual bullet that would be unique to, unless there's like a fingerprint on it, but it doesn't seem like they're going to go that deep into it. Exactly what David was saying.
You can track rounds through so you cannot, it's only fired rounds, and the barrel markings on the round actually are what able, but that is like that's what you can't track them back to who bought them. Like it just, there's no serial number on bullets or anything like that, or casing is but you can definitely figure it out if someone like shot it, if who had the gun that shot it. But I'll be right back.
I would think the only other thing then would be like, is there anything specific to footage? Do they have footage of somebody doing this, that, or the other? And it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. Like David said, it looks like he is more concerned about what was going to happen to him, and he didn't even know what happened. According to him, he said he shot her and he thought she fainted. He walked away, which, even if she did faint, why are you walking away from somebody that you just pointed a gun at and fainted? Maybe check to see if they're okay. But yeah, very, very weird. It says not the individual bullets, but couldn't the cops ask in the investigation who brought the rounds? Oh, sure, they could definitely ask. And I think they were saying something along the lines of how multiple people, because of the fact that it was a COVID shoot, the fact that the rules were very lax, and there was a lot of downtime, a lot of people had live rounds. So based on what we know, what do you think, Melty? We heard about people on, including Alec Baldwin, having live rounds on him. That's what David's asking about. That would be the only way, right? Through investigation, and because if they don't have it on, if they don't have somebody walking in the door with a box of ammo in their hand, then
if how we're talking about Malcolm's razor earlier, if I was to go off that
Occam's razor
and Occam's razor, freaking dude, Gillette, that razor, okay. If you were to have, because there were multiple rounds found in multiple holsters, I'll memorize that one. Multiple holsters, like they found 2 rounds in his co-actors. So I would imagine if people have these rounds and they're shooting them, they're carrying the guns with the holsters, they're putting the rounds in the holsters, and these probably got mixed in with maybe the rubber bullets or something like that, and these were for the show. Like for show, you just put them on your holster, so it looks like you got live rounds on your holster. But what they used to do actually back in the day in Western movies is they would have a bigger round than what was for the guns, so you couldn't fit it into the gun. And it also made it look better on movies, because like when you're like a little kid, like, oh my, look at these big bullets that they've got on their holsters. Like oh my gosh, they've got a huge rifle round that goes in that pistol. Like it just looked amazing, but it'd also be a lot safer because you couldn't fire those rounds.
So Nick's saying micro stamping doesn't even exist yet as other than a concept. That's why California handgun roster is completely BS. What is micro stamping?
Micro stamping, bro. I'm gonna happily look that up. I've never heard of micro stamping before.
No,
I'm guessing that has to do with probably stamping something onto casings to
Dan says, doesn't look good when you're refusing to train and then shoot a person. Yeah, I mean, to say the least. Hey, we got Jedi Mike in the building. Welcome to the party. I can drop you the link. Are you familiar with Firearms here? I'm trying to learn a little bit about what's going on.
Dan.
Yeah, come on up and have a chat with us. And oh my goodness, Dan Jensen, no comment, no question, just pure love of the puppy. That's right. Every single super chat comes. Eat it. He's tired. We went out. I took him out to the park today. Yeah, he is tired. But thank you, Dan. Morty. Yeah. So I did just drop the link, Jedi Mike, if you want to hop on. We are talking about guns, and I'm trying to learn all I can because, I'm understanding the conceptual stuff around why we need the Second Amendment and stuff like that. But when it gets into stuff like this, there's just too much technical stuff that I don't know. So Dave, has this been resolved or still ongoing? I don't care about Alec Baldwin, and the world has had a lot happen since the incident. So I believe that the charges were dropped.
Yeah, they were dropped by the state.
Is that in this article? We can
that one that I sent you, yes, I'm pretty sure.
All right, cool. Well, in the meantime, why don't we bring on my good friend Jedi Mike? Welcome to the party. What's going on, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sir.
Right,
So
cool.
who are you? Let the people know.
Yeah, my name is Jedi Mike 7. I work as I have a YouTube channel as well. You can follow me on Jedi Mike 7 right here on YouTube and IG. So I work as a film pundit on the side, part of the African American Film Critics Association, and here in the DMV area. And so with the whole case and this whole situation, it really is unheard of, right? Because most standard procedures you see in Western films or anything like that, this is a really poor malpractice in the industry. As you've seen, like famous actors like Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Jason Statham, Bruce Willis, all these people who have been in action films who have used guns in their films, obviously have never actually had the incident being, occurred. The only one time really actually happened, I think around the 80s or 90s. It was a film called The Crow, right? The Crow, the actor, he passed away. And basically, almost a film. It's almost like kind of a curse in the film industry because they've been trying to reboot this film for so long, and they've been going in production hell. But the thing about this is that, especially talking about with gun safety, and especially in the film industry, I think that, not trying to get into the conspiracy of it and stuff, where it might be some type of sabotaging on the actor's part. In terms of the crew trying to, get
Right.
Alec Baldwin and anything, just because, hey, anyway, in this, industry, we know that, bad publicity, good publicity, whatever. It just, whatever sells, that's what goes, right? And also, it's about, you're guilty till proven innocent. So that's why I feel like with this particular case, it was very, very interesting how this turned out. Again, also the fact that they haven't really pinpoint anyone, especially obviously this is, technically is manslaughter. The fact that no one actually been held responsible for this, and just saying, well, we relieve the charges because we understand like X, Y, Z, whatever. You have to set a mandate for films to come after this. Yes, we know we have a writer's strike right now, and a lot of things are being delayed at the moment. But still, it's like you have to set a standard in terms of going on, especially with just terms of politically what's going on in this world right now with shootings and everything like that. As a film and as a TV media, whatever, you have a responsibility to say, now listen, we got the much as we want to have action movies and all stuff like that. How are we going to conduct ourselves as a business and not continue in this malpractice?
Well said. Well said. So yeah, I wanted to bring Milton My Media on here because I am just not very familiar with guns, and so I'll just ask you the same question that I asked him. How likely is it that it all went down the way Alec Baldwin said it did, in your personal opinion? Did I? You're muted. All right.
He
Fair
don't
enough.
even want to say nothing. He don't even
Zero.
wanna
I
say
said
nothing.
Fair enough. And then yeah, that's we were talking about the different different types of guns and different types of parts, and there's just so much to learn in this area that it's like, where to even start. So let me ask you, what is the, so we went over the 4 pillars of gun safety. So after that, what would you say would be the first thing to learn about guns?
You asking Jedi Mike?
Are you asking me or are you asking?
Yeah,
Melvin?
yeah, Jedi Mike.
Don't, for one, I mean, I can go stereotypical in this if I want to, but you might want to stay away from the hole in, just in case, it's not, one, it's not a toy. Secondly, there's a thing of saying difference between knowing when you have a round in the chamber and knowing when a gun is loaded and when it's empty. My father is military.
By the weight of it, you mean? Is that?
Yeah,
By
the
the
weight.
weight? Oh, okay.
They're clearly, yeah, you can tell by the weight of what's difference between a loaded gun and an empty gun. With there's no, especially even when you remove in terms of the rounds, in terms of out of the gun and everything, you can still take away the ammo, but there still can be a round in the chamber if you don't just discharge it. So
Yeah,
then again,
that's a Crowder bit. Don't forget the one in the chamber.
Right.
We don't support Crowder anymore. But no, wait, we gotta get the
right.
From
we wait until
we wait for all the info.
Released.
We wait for all the info.
Right. And lastly, you have to understand is that and especially in terms of misfire that can happen, because even then I mentioned with the film with the crow, it wasn't a live like bullet, whatever, but it still was
It
able
wasn't
to
even
kill
a gun.
The main actor.
Exactly.
It was still any type of projectile that anyway that can try to insinuate any type of harm. This is money we're talking about, y'all. So anyway, anything that you're doing that, especially that's causing any type of distress in terms of on the film set or anything like that, these are standard procedures you have to follow. So, but again, the biggest thing that these things are not toys, anything, they're tools. But now, because you're in the world of make believe, you still have a bigger responsibility knowing that reality can happen just like that.
And he, after a round, and certainly found out. So we're going through this video here. Do we have a spot for you? Well, this will, yeah. This one of the prop masters. They're talking about how Alec Baldwin refused training for this film, and saying it doesn't look too good when you refuse training and then kill somebody.
So these are props. Shouldn't they be disabled in a way that they can't be used?
So here, Hollywood uses a variety of firearms and prop weapons. They can use dummy guns, which are solid rubber. Those are usually the ones that are in people's holsters that are in the background. Or if a stuntman needs to do a scene, they'll put in foam pistols so they don't hurt themselves when they fall. But Hollywood uses real firearms. They just put in blank rounds in the guns. This is what a lot of people don't really understand.
And that's what Jedi Mike was just talking about, and what Melty was talking about earlier with Brandon Lee.
There are ways to make these things safe. There's tons of different options out there. There's airsoft guns that have been used since the 90s in film. I know, especially the Canadian show, The X-Files, because of gun restrictions up there, they had to use airsoft guns exclusively, and they did it extremely well. In post-production, they put in the muzzle flash, they put in the smoke coming out of the gun, and even the shells ejecting out of the sides of the gun.
So even that point right there about how all of the actual effect of what you get, bro?
No, I was just hearing again. I was just shaking my head when again, just an actor refusing, refusing terms of this procedure. Said, I don't care who you are. I don't care you're Meryl Streep, for crying out loud. This does not happen. So I'm like, the fact that he's saying that they're like, he's like, I don't want to do it. I've done this before, whatever. And then again, the director, producer, also in terms of the staff were able to basically make sure that that everything, especially with these live or fake ammunition that basically have shooting blanks, whatever, that's still making sure that there's no misfire or nothing. It's like, nah, man, I'm good. That there's a lot of people in play with it, not just Alec Baldwin himself not refusing, but them allowing him to be proceeding with the scene before this incident happened.
Right, and it seems like just a piece of trivia to be like, oh, did you know in Rush they use real guns in those scenes? Like, if they have the muzzle flash and the smoke and all of that done in post-production, then like they could make a wooden gun that is good enough and then touch it up digitally if you gotta, and make it look as real gets.
Oh, dude,
and so go ahead.
They make, there's the company that did freaking the Narnia movies is called Weta, and they make the most realistic looking swords in the whole entire world. Like these fake swords, they look like real swords in front of you. They can make guns that look real, that have a hole through the barrel, that they can be all metal weapons that just don't have a firing pin. You can just not have a firing pin in the gun, and it wouldn't fire a gun, wouldn't fire a bullet.
Okay, so we got another part here. The firing pin. Talk to me about what is a firing pin.
So for his gun in particular, the single action revolver he was using, that is connected to the hammer, and that is what he was cocking back when he talks about when he aimed the gun at her and he cocked the weapon. That is pulling back, and in the hammer it has the firing pin, and that's what hits the bullet, and that's what hits the primer on the back and sets it off. That sets off the black powder. So when you can take those out of guns, or you can remove those off of revolvers, and the gun won't go off, even if it had a bullet in it.
But the trivia, it says you don't need a real gun to pretend you got shot by one. Kids do it every day on playgrounds and stuff like that. Exactly. So that again, when I first heard about this, obviously I want to, just like with Crowder, hold until we have all the information and make a decision at that point. But again, going back to Occam's razor, it doesn't make sense that it would happen any other way than you murdered this bitch.
Could I ask Jedi Mike a question here real quick? Because he said that he worked for the film industry, right, Mike?
Yes.
So when when they fire now, because of the Brandon Lee situation with the Crow, that's exactly the thing I brought up earlier before you got on. But now when they do shooting scenes, they do not aim the weapon. They put the camera in an angle to where it looks like that. You're not supposed to aim a gun at anyone on a production anymore, ever since Brandon Lee happened.
So yeah, even then, like with the like I said, films I mentioned, such as like with Bad Boys, the Mission Impossible films, all these things. There's a way of camera shots and when we move with also just visual effects in general. The fact of how we can literally just move your arm from here to here. Again, to making sure it's more about the choreography than actually the more of, I'm actually going to point this directly at someone, make it seem realistic. Right. That's all, especially when you go into camera shots and shaky cam and everything like that with, but yeah, it's actually, again, an industry standard. The fact of these instances do not happen. Now, my thing, again, is just in terms of the future of this is like, okay, well, now especially now we have this writer strike going on right now, is that how is that the future action films going to be affected by this? Especially now, like, okay, well, should we just write a gun scene, or let's just do fist fighting, or let's just work with knives, or something like that instead? And especially again, everything, especially in this film industry now, they're trying to become so damn political, which is driving me insane. But it's like everything they try and make it in terms of a message. Well, we're not going to put guns in this movie because hey, whatever. Regardless of what the situation that happened before, we have to set a standard. There has to be accountability here. Right? It can't be just saying, I just want to be PC and I want to keep my damn job. You didn't do your damn job. So it's like that, so that's where I want to come in at, especially as someone on the film side of like, this is like, hey, if you want to tell an actually compelling story and everything, all right, and if you want to put it in the best way possible in terms of conducting this, in terms of set, the environment, or choreography, whatever, then make sure you're doing those standards. And when you're putting your actors, but more importantly, your staff, because just because it might not be big name brand, whatever, they still are our lives have value. So again, still, I just continue just to like emphasize that.
Gotcha. All right, so let's take a look at they got an article here from Vanity Fair that goes through a whole bunch of stuff. Charging decision expected in Alec Baldwin Rust shooting as multiple real bullets found. 5 other live rounds were found on the movie's prop weapons. Now, infamous shooting death on the, and so if if I come across something that's important, I'm not gonna know. So you guys just stop me. Now, infamous shooting death on the set of Rust has the appearance of a horrific freak accident. A real bullet somehow makes its way onto the set of a Western drama, and through a cascade of missteps.
What?
Not really, right? Alec Baldwin fires it from his gun during the rehearsal, tragically ending a life and upending countless others. But a 551-page sheriff's report includes a revelation that makes the October 2021 shooting seem less like impossible bad luck and more like inevitability. FBI testing uncovered a total of 5 live rounds of ammunition among the movie's prop weapons. 6, if you count the bullet that actually went off. Cinematographer, the actors. Screw you.
Freaking Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair.
Yeah, right. The actor's claim, I didn't pull the trigger, was also contradicted by the FBI analysis of the vintage Colt handgun that fired the fatal shooting.
So now from here reading that, the FBI is saying that he pulled the trigger. They're saying he did it from that, right?
Yes.
That's what I heard when you said that. But
Yep.
I also wanted to ask Mike here again real quick. Mike, do you know from every other situation, the armorer is supposed to be in sight of the weapon that they hand the actor at all times, and this did not happen on this movie set?
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. No, it wasn't the fact that he wasn't on set. It's like, again, during these things, is like that even before the actor even shows up, they even put themselves in the position of the actor to make sure that they're running this in rehearsal, running this in terms of pre-production, even with the writing of the scene. Again, the armor was not nowhere to be found when that situation happened. And again, there's just multiple layers in this, but that's why I'm feeling like a lot of this is we won't get to this conspiracy of it.
Yeah, man.
Again, like, there's a lot of malpractice in this, but it seemed, I don't want to always seem like not I'll say a stage, but like it just, there's many like domino effects that was happening to turn that is like, this seemed almost strategic in a way, that how this just happened in the way that it did, to put Alec Baldwin in the situation where I didn't fire. Yes, you did, but also you had like loaded, and then again, armor wasn't there. People like who were liable of terms of safety procedures were nowhere to be found. So
yeah, well, and that was that could be one of the motives behind the murder, if it is that. They there was talks about how there was a lot of because Baldwin was the director as well as the star, there was a lot of trouble with him dealing with other people and doing things the right way, following the protocols. Like we already talked about, he didn't do the training beforehand for this specific movie. And it really it puts it in a very weird light. So let me ask you another question about the actual procedure that is supposed to go on, because we weren't sure about this. So if I'm an actor and I've done my training or whatever, but the armor is supposed to be the expert on hand, when the armor checks the gun and then hands it to me as the actor, am I supposed to then check it again myself, or am I supposed to just the expert told me it's good, so I'm not gonna touch it?
So there's different things here. Like not only that, the fact that there might be actual guns that are put in place to actually fire, but it also might be rubber guns as well. Again, they're trying to give the effect of like saying, hey, you're not going to shoot anything, but it's at least just telling you, like, for example, when they're like walking around in scenes or carrying them, like they don't have any like rounds in the gun, But to answer your question, yes, they do are saying, okay, after we check the gun several times and we hand it to you, let's say between takes, make sure you're also checking the gun. So it's just like there's many different things of that that the armor is actually educating the actor, him or herself, in that scene. This is why there's a video of Will Smith and with Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence, where you can find on Instagram, where he's in the scene and there's a whole bunch of guns laid on the table, and the guy you can see is like about to move his gun, and the video went to slow mo, and as soon as he saw the gun heading in his direction, he stopped it, then disarmed it, even though there was no rounds in the chamber. He still was like, "Hey, don't put that gun at me," and he stopped it. And because he's been in years in action films, years of gun training, to point like even Offset, even when we're not filming a damn scene, I know when to disarm a gun.
Yeah,
and
that's
you can find it on Instagram, but like he did that so smooth and everything and whatever. But that was because of training and years of training.
If one of you guys wants to in the chat, give me a link, we can definitely take a look at that. But that's again, when we were watching the footage of the police interaction.
Sorry, my bad. My mic was muted. I have a link right here for you. I'm about to put it in send down the Discord. This is George Clooney talking about I put it in the general. He is talking about the shooting, and he's talking about his gun safety that he did.
All right, well, let's check it out.
George Clooney is speaking out about gun safety on set following the October 21st fatal shooting of Galena Hutchins and the wounding of director Joel Souza during production of the Alec Baldwin starring Western Rust.
How dare you!
During a discussion with Mark Maron for Monday's episode of the WTF podcast, Clooney reflected on his time working on sets and the tragedies of some, including Brandon Lee, who was accidentally shot and killed on the 90s set of The Crow by another actor who fired an improperly prepared revolver.
I'm just gonna say real quick, I didn't know that Brandon Lee was the Crow. I assumed that he was a kung fu type guy. So just all right, I learn new things every day.
That's just what's crazy too, is that what did I bring up first? What did Mike bring up first? What is this bringing up first? This is how rare this is in the film industry for someone to be killed on set by a firearm.
Yeah,
This is just how rare it is.
yeah. I mean, I'd never heard I'd never heard of that before. So Dan is saying as soon as it pops up here, who makes these rules for the actors to check the gun? Good question.
I'm gonna say I want to see if Mike thinks I'm right. I'm guessing it's the Actors Guild, right, that decides these rules.
Well, in terms of what saying that I'm sorry, I'm trying to get that link for you.
No, like for the procedures that the armor
I
has
can
to
look
check
it. I
it,
can
and
look
then you check
into
it.
that.
No, it's the armor. It's listen, and this is it here. Fuck the director, fuck the writer, fuck the actor, all this stuff. Like you are, this is state law that if you're, you have to have permits of having these guns. You have to have all these things, especially depending on the state you live in, because most films are kind of shot in Atlanta, shot in sometimes in other countries. So it's like again. The level of terms of who's able to give that authority really should be the armor. If you don't have the armor on set, you really are committing malpractice in the film industry, but more importantly, a crime.
Gotcha.
I just put that in the Discord, by the way, for you, Mike.
All right, let's bring that up.
So you don't gotta worry about it.
Bumping it up a level to some of the cooler, more up-to-date stuff.
It's not more extravagant than the second one.
Keep your wife's name out my motherfucking mouth.
Based. So I'd say, okay, it's obvious that the gun handling, clearing by Will Smith was staged and edited. I cut that part out in the next clip. And
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
But
Thank you.
You know that's still pretty cool. Oh, they're still. Okay. That's
dang. I did not expect all this. I was just wanting to show you that part.
Shot. Watch his left hand. Will Smith's clearing of the gun was added.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
We're about to get into some freaking.
It's not more extravagant than the second one.
Oh, slow-mo. We're going slow-mo.
Crap, bro. You'll see his lizard eyes appear.
So they added that part, but other than that, it was real. That's it. So the overall message is right. Don't muzzle/point a gun at anyone ever. I would not have to put the mag back in, nor would I have return the slide into the battery. Mag out, chamber cleared, and slide locked back. Then hand it to another person. Interesting. So you could see, even though, even if this was completely, even if it was a completely set up situation, the quickness with you see the gun leave the table, and before it's even close to him, he's already eyes on, and that's the kind of, that's the kind of diligence that we would want.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, sorry. Just to add on to the point I made recently about the armor too. Now the actor also can make the decision whether he wants to have a stunt double or not, or like in terms of the scene. Like if I feel uncomfortable, I can opt myself out from this scene and let someone else do the stand-in. So yeah, they do have the actor does have that authority. But in terms of anything you're using like round anything with guns, it's the armor's responsibility on that. But I just want to add that note.
Yeah, that's and we know that Alec Baldwin is has a huge ego before even bringing into the fact that he's a Hollywood actor, that just the typical ways that he would have an ego. He's been in, well, it wasn't him who called his daughter a fat pig in the voicemail. That was him, right? So we know that he has an ego like that. We know that he refused the training, and we know that there was issues on the set, both with the configuration, I guess, where the armor could actually be close enough to manage what they're supposed to be managing, as well as behind. Well, I guess it's still behind the scenes stuff, but interpersonal stuff. So it really does seem like not looking good. But so let's just hear what Clooney has to say, and then we can head back into the article.
The actor-director particularly discussed his close relationship with Lee, saying, "That was a series of stupid things. My cousin Miguel was going to be his best man the next week at their wedding. Brandon and I played ball and hung out at the Hollywood Y 3 days a week. We were buddies. You know, this was his big break. Clooney broke down the mistakes that led to the fatal shooting and said that because of what happened to Lee, he continues to abide by safety protocols whenever given a prop gun. Every single time I'm handed a gun on the set, I open it, I show it to the person I'm pointing it to, I show it to the crew. Every single take, you hand it back to the armorer when you're done, and you do it again.
So after every single take, I'm handed a gun on the set. I open it. I show it to the person I'm pointing it to. I'm pointing it at. I show it to the crew. Every single take. You hand it back to the armorer when you're done, and you do it again. So that the fact that that is what's expected. Because if he's just saying that, and every other action star is like, whoa, maybe that's a little bit much. You don't really need to do all of that. Then that's one thing. But everybody's like, nope, yep, totally. That's what you're supposed to do. And I imagine that again, the ego of somebody who is an actor. Now, I'm pretty sure this is his first time directing, right? And gotta use a real gun. Gotta use and it just too many things are in the wrong place at the wrong time for this to make any sense. So I mean, I think we got basically what we need out of that. Getting back into the article. The FBI analysis of the vintage Colt handgun that fired the fatal shot with the hammer at full cock, which we talked about before. The revolver could not be made to fire without a pull of the trigger while the working internal components were intact and functional. According to the report, that's the FBI saying that, he pulled the trigger. Unless it was magic. The FBI lab also states that the releasing the hammer when it was pulled back only a quarter or a half did not result in enough impact to fire a round. Oh, that's what I was going to say before, is that when we were looking at the footage of him talking to the cops, now that we understand all that stuff about a procedure that we were talking about before, it's very obvious what is wrong with this explanation.
The gun out, and as I take, as it clears, as the barrel clears the hole, turn and cock the gun over here.
So there's no checking at anything. There's no checking of anything. If you have it, then you clearly didn't, and this is the rehearsal. So even if it's, even if George Clooney's saying every take, I would assume, based on the cadence of that statement, that every time he handles the gun, he would do that. And I can assume again that, and I might be wrong, but I can assume that if Baldwin was rehearsing this particular shot, that they were about to shoot that actual thing. So it's too many things. It's too many things for me. I don't know. I think it's too much.
If we go back to the beginning of the show, how we were talking, how you were trying to talk to me like, could he have pulled the trigger? Could he have not, or could he have not pulled the trigger? And
yeah. So just to catch Jedi Mike or anybody else who didn't hear before, I was saying, we were talking, we were looking at this footage, and I was saying, is it possible that he, when he pulled the gun out of the holster, he cocked it and then accidentally pulled the trigger? Like he obviously we know he pulled the trigger. But how reasonable is it for somebody who's done action movies before, but hasn't done any training recently to do that? And so let's stick with even the same, single action revolver. Is that one of these hair trigger type things, or you got to pull that?
Like the triggers with gun, they vary gun to gun a lot of the time. With how hard it is to pull triggers. Some companies are better known for making better triggers than others, but companies and triggers and springs vary a lot between each gun, between a company and batch and stuff like that. So who really knows with that trigger on that gun? It could have been probably a pretty light trigger.
So going back to the thing about the AKs, does it mean that I thought it was a 45 Colt revolver? No.
Yeah.
So is that another thing like the AK where any company can license to make that?
Companies can make triggers by themselves and make triggers that do different things. Like there's ARs or like ARs specifically. I don't think they make any for AKs or anything like that, but specifically ARs, they make binary triggers separately, and these are pull in fires, let go fires.
Right, yeah, I've heard of that. That's crazy.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
So he says we don't want to give anyone reason to think that to think about taking our guns. Only criminals hurt people with guns. Normal people don't want to hurt each other. We need accountability, and that brings up a great point about how this is. It's already a Hollywood liberal person who has done this, but Nick brings up a great point about how this sheds light on the rest of the country and is going to reinforce the ignorant idea of people who don't know what guns are.
Yeah, and that's what you see going around with all this stuff, with all the shootings going on recently, about blaming the guns and not the shooters or what's causing the shootings.
Yeah, there's been recently there's a middle school called Grand Rapids Public School because there was a gun that was found in a backpack of a third grader. That school is being a policy now where they now are banning backpacks from the elementary school because of the fact that they found a loaded gun in a third grader's book bag. We are now banning book bags in the elementary school.
So, third
America,
grade, 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Third grade is 8 years old, bro.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
But what I want to know is was this a toy gun? Like, was this a situation like if you remember a long time ago, the kid that chewed a gun into a Pop-Tart and aimed it at somebody?
Yeah,
and
I do remember that.
And got
I do remember
expelled.
that.
Dude, as a kid, bro, I would draw like this. It reminds, like, when I was a kid, after a test or something, I would flip over the page and doodle. And back in the day, I'd play Call of Duty when I was younger, so I'd just draw the guns from the game, and like I'd be like, oh, that looks like a design, like a sketch for like a gun design you'd make. And my teacher literally took my paper and crumbled up and threw it in the trash and said I failed that exam because I drew on the back of my paper like that.
I mean, I'd probably do that too if you're in third grade, but
I wasn't in third grade. I was like freaking 7th or 8th grade.
Still, you're a little ass kid drawing guns. I'd be like, yo, this is not.
Dude, you got to remember where I live, bro. You got to remember where I live. I don't live in New Jersey. I live in a rural area.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh my goodness! Out sponsoring himself, Dan the Man Jensen. What are you? Come up here. There you go. That's right. Every single super chat comes with a treat for Morty. Thank you again, Dan. Oh no, he's doing this because he gotta leave. Damn, I have to go. I will watch the rest later. Have a good stream. See ya. Dan, thank you once again for being the sponsor of the stream. Always coming through and blessing me. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. Thank you. You have a fantastic night, brother.
Dan, he's our man. If he can't feed Morty, no one can.
There we go. Yeah, so let's hop back into this here. The article continues on. There are just a few of the details from the final investigative report that the Santa Fe County District Attorney Mary whatever will be considering as her office decides whether criminal charges are warranted. When is this from?
This should be from 2
this
weeks
is from
ago.
January. So a couple months ago. Wait.
So yeah, this was probably right when they found. This was probably right when they found the rounds.
The rounds. So yeah, whether or not charges are warranted. A decision about how to proceed is imminent, according to sources close to the case. The report focuses primarily on the actions of Baldwin, who was also a producer on the movie. Assistant director David Halls, whom Baldwin said handled the weapon and declared it an inert, quote, cold gun, and armorer Hannah whatever, who I believe was like 19 years old and it was her first job or something like that. Do you guys know anything about anything about that?
Oh, sorry, could you repeat that?
So the armorer, this Hannah, whatever her name is, Hannah Gutierrez.
Oh yeah.
I heard
Mhm.
that she was like it was some type of nepotism or special favor, and it was like her first job. Again, this is
Yeah,
just stuff that I'm hearing, so I don't know.
I believe this whole film, from what I heard, that this whole film was startup people. This was a very cheap film. Alec Baldwin was the director, the producer. He was an actor in it. I heard that this was a lot of starting up people that were just like, I need something to put on my resume.
Yeah,
My
you had the actor from Ned the Classified, Ned. He was in the film too. If you watch his podcast, he said I was on Russ and talking about yeah.
Wait, was he also in Supernatural? Is he the co-star?
Yeah,
So
sorry.
he's the one that had bullets in his belt also. He's the one that also had bullets. Yeah. He had 2 bullets in his belt. In his gun belt.
I have no idea who you're talking about. I never watched Ned's Declassified.
Dude, how old are you?
I was gonna say, how old are you guys?
Dude,
I'm a grown ass man. All right, I'm gonna be watching that bullshit.
I'm way younger than you.
Baby
Yeah,
ass.
I'll be 25 this year. I'll be 25.
I'm 2 years younger than.
Yeah, but there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of growth in those years.
See, our beard is longer than him. That's why he just.
There you go. There you go. All right. So amid the hundreds of pieces of evidence in the case, these 5 items, they're talking about the 5 bullets that were found. These 5 items, these 5 items may be the most significant. The FBI analysis confirmed there were several other live rounds of 45 caliber ammunition present on the Rust set on the day Hutchins died, some of them adorning the costumes of the other actors in the scene. Apparently one being Ned's declassified whatever. So the 45 caliber. So that is a perfect opportunity for us to talk about all the numbers and stuff when it comes to bullets. So I know that the caliber corresponds to the size of the bullet, and that's about all I know. So I would imagine that smaller numbers are smaller bullets, but you know, I've had gauges in my ears, and the smaller the number, the bigger the hole. So teach me.
Not in particularly. So
okay.
A 50 cal, like let's say we talk about a 50 cal. So a Desert Eagle is 50 cal, right? And a Barrett 50 cal. Like these are probably some guns that you've probably heard of as like maybe from movies and video games. Like you know what a Desert Eagle is?
Yeah.
So and you know what a Barrett 50 cal is. That's the big sniper, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they are both 50 cal. They are the same width, or they are the same the barrel size like is the same, like how wide they are, but the powder load is completely different, the case is completely different, so the numbers don't completely matter, because there's also like another weapon that you might know from video games is like the Russian Makarov that takes 9mm, just like you don't know what Makarov is? You
don't even play video games, bro.
You don't know what a 1911 is, bro. You don't even. That's
only because MJ showed us in Discord the other day. I'd never heard of that.
Oh my gosh. So it's.
I'm from Jersey, bro. We don't know about this shit. That's why you're here. Don't be making fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you, buddy. I'm not making fun of you. But so that's just another gun. That's a gun that takes it's something called 9mm, but that takes a Russian caliber called 9mm Makarov. This is a problem a lot of gun stores have, is people come in trying to say they want to buy 9mm. They say we don't have it, and people go, "What's that right there?" And they say this is 9mm Makarov. It's a completely different case sizing to what your average 9mm Parabellum is, which is what the Army uses and what your average Glock would use.
So why are some, why is a 9mm measured in millimeters, and like 50 cal or 45 is measured in caliber?
It is because
make it difficult.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. So like you got to think, when these guns were made, they were a lot of the when guns started getting made for militaries and stuff like that, because that's what all guns come down to, is like what like becomes the most relevant ammo. Like 5.56 is what is used in most ARs that you see.
So and that the reason why 5.56 the caliber.
Yes,
Would
that
be-
would be that would be the round. That would be the round that it shoots. Yes, it would
So you would take
also
that as like a period 5.56.
5 period 5.56.
Okay, so
Mhm.
okay, and then keep going. I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm
So,
getting it,
no,
but
dude, it's so hard to.
no,
I
I
it
hate
is.
it.
It
I
is so
hate it. I
hard.
just
It's
I
like
try to learn so much, and I don't get it.
So that is the military. That's the main military round that they use for their rifles. So that's the most highly produced. That's going to be the most you see in the United States. So a lot of companies want to use that round. Now, so back in the day when we didn't really understand how to measure the best pressure to get the best velocity through the barrel, back in the day, like in World War I and World War II and the Civil War, even back when using muskets, a lot of the times they just thought more powder, bigger the bullet, the better the range, the more damage. That's what they used to think.
Makes sense.
So, it's a lot to do with your barrel lengths and how much spin you put on the barrel for your accuracy and your range. It has to do with a lot of your powder load to the weight of your bullet. It has to do with a lot of things like that, and like how we were talking about short barreled rifle earlier, and I forget who exactly said it. It might have been Nick. That said, like a lot of these changes have no in particular lethality changes. Shortening your barrel has a lot of the effects of making it your damage output worse for your weapon. Like
Tell me about that. The barrel,
so like
barrel length.
so like a 16-inch long.
No, real quick. I would assume both length have the longer is gonna have a certain effect, as well as the wider it is gonna have a certain effect.
So the wider it is what it has to do with your caliber, like what size. So like there's guns. There's like how we were talking about an AK being a gun that can be made by different companies, but that's just a base model. Well, these models can also have caliber changes over, like 7.62 is the round that a lot of AK uses, that the Russians use. That is like their version of NATO that they have. Like all their groups they use the same exact size round. So if they ever have to go to battle together, they can share ammo within their ranks. So they make AKs in the US that go off 5.56 because it is the easiest to get round in the United States. So that can change a lot to do with like what type of, like, people may see an AK and think like, oh, it's shooting this type of round, but they don't know because you can't see the round.
But it's a big gun.
Exactly. It could be. I've seen there at my local gun store, there's an AK that takes a little tiny 22 long, and it's literally like this tiny, dude. A normal AK bullet can be up to this big, dude, and it takes a little tiny, and it has a magazine, an AK mag that literally just has a tiny little 22 mag shoved into it, and that's what they use. So it looks exactly like a giant AK that you would see, but with the barrel lengths. So when you shorten your barrel, so 22, the width of 22 and the width of 5.56 are the same, so they can go through the same type of barrel. So when you shorten your barrel length, you are getting less power. That is less distance the bullet can travel under pressure, getting power going through it. So when you take away more length, that gives you less power for it to come out the barrel, less pressure, like less time for it to get pressure. So when it hits its target, it can have the same power as a 22. That's a lot of the problems with shortening your barrel. But also benefit that you get from shortening your barrel is going through doorways. It's a lot better for CQB, which close quarter combat is.
What is it?
That's
Close quarter combat.
So that's like you're defending your house. A lot of people and a lot of military experts and a lot of gun tubers that you could look up will say a short barreled rifle is your best option for home defense. It gives you the best handling, the best recoil control, and everything.
So how does it give you? If it gives you less power, why is it? How does it? What does that have to do with going through doors and shit?
Because it's shorter. So like a 16-inch long weapon. So like when you go through a door, you don't want your barrel being the first thing that goes through the door.
Oh, you mean like physically walking through? I thought you meant like
Yeah,
blowing through a door.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
how is
no,
there
no,
less
no.
power, but you can
No,
blow a
you
door
don't.
down?
When you're defending your home, you want less power, honestly, because you don't want to go through
Okay.
your walls.
Gotcha.
You want
Hey,
to.
we got Jimmy Dean, our resident sausage, in the building, coming in from Atlanta. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. I am getting schooled on guns. I know you like that. So Nick's saying 10 millimeter equals 40 cal. Six. So you say that 6.72 equals 30 cal. 9 millimeter equals 35. And 3.57. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
So,
Nick? Yeah. So yes, those millimeters do work for each other, but those so like a 10 millimeter bullet might not work. That might be the same caliber round, but a 10 millimeter bullet and a 40 caliber, like a gun that shoots a 40 cal bullet, could have two different casing sizes. That's why the bullet that they shoot may fit through the barrel widthwise, but the casing might not fit in the gun, and the powder load might be too heavy for the gun. It might make the gun explode if you put the wrong bullet inside of it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the caliber, Nick is correct on like the calibers going together like that and like what they've got.
Word up. And Jimmy's giving you some props for your Gadsden flex. Shout out to the Gator Gadsden.
Fuck around and find out, buddy.
Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So you guys are teaching me a lot. And I'm sure, if you are, shout out to the replay gang. If you are knowledgeable on all this stuff, let me know where I can, learn more about this. Like I said, me and Melty, we might make this a little bit of a series if I could get into it and there's a clear path to it. And if they are wrong, please let me know when they are wrong.
Honestly, freaking yeah, dude, for real. Like I'm not perfect at anything. Even the best gun experts in the military will say that you get stuff wrong and you don't remember everything you're told. And a lot of military guys do not know a lot about guns. I'll tell you that right now. I've talked to a lot of them.
Them's fighting words. All right, he said it, not me.
Well, there's a lot that do go into combat and actually do combat, but there's a lot that just push pencils and they were in the military. They never had to deal with a weapon.
Fair enough. I'm gonna have a no steppy flag. I like that. What's the Timcast one?
No step on snake.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think Jedi Mike, you got a hard out, right?
Yeah, wife's calling me.
All right. Why don't you just shout out your channel, all that good stuff. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Jedi Mike 7 on YouTube right over here. I cover movie reviews, TV shows as well. I cover stuff in the film media as well. I also do some social commentaries going on in the world today, especially what we dress here. I just started, working on a channel and everything as I'm doing this and working as a movie critic and everything. But I appreciate Indian G's. Thank you for having me. Melts Media, thank you. I had a great conversation with you guys. Look forward to more. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming
Enjoy
on,
that dinner and whatever comes after.
Well, you know it.
Brother.
Yum. Anyway,
peace. All right. So why don't we? Did you have anything else to say before you want to jump back into the article?
I right here, Nick.
Barrel lengths.
Nick just commented, referring to the bullet caliber about.
Thank you. So Nick says, yes, I was just referring to the bullet caliber, which isn't always perfectly accurate to its description, such as 38 and 357 Magnum.
Yes.
So it sounds like a lot of, just like I said, when I first went to learn about crypto, it was the same kind of thing where it's just like there's so many little things that you have to know. There's jargon, there's this and there's that. And as an American, it's important to me, at least, to understand these things on a conceptual level, which I feel like I do. But it's also important, again, in my personal humble opinion, to be knowledgeable, as knowledgeable as we can be. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing. So, like I said, if you can add anything to my gun knowledge, please let me know in the comments below.
If you are ever around Indiana or anything like that, bro, let me know because I would love to take you shooting sometime, bro.
I would love that as well. It's a date.
I think that'd be a dope video for you to make.
Oh yeah, bruh.
Indian Rambo.
Indian Rambo. Love it. I love it. All right. So what were they saying? Yeah, they the other actors had some on the scene. All of the real bullets were embossed with the Starline Brass logo, a company that supplies materials for homemade bullets. Homemade bullets.
So
talk to me about homemade bullets.
So homemade bullets. You can save the brass, that the shell or the shell, when you talk about shell, that's shotgun, referring to a shotgun. But when you can get the lead that comes out of the bullet or the brass or whatever you're shooting, melt that back down and actually pour that into a mold that is back in the shape of the bullet. Take your casing or your shell, refill that back with the powder, and
Make your own.
huh?
Just recite, like use it again.
Yeah, you can just and it's a lot. It's not a lot cheaper comparative to buying your ammo due to the difficulties of getting the actual stuff that you need to tumble your casings in to clean them again. That is very hard to get, and also black powder and primers are very hard to get and very expensive.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, we were just talking the other day about how, I started, sidetracking a little here and going to talk about some marijuana. But I was talking about how when, the first time I was really introduced to doing dabs and using like wax or resin or sugar or batter or any of those types of things, then I was like, this is amazing. This is great. I'm not burning up my my throat, having to smoke 5 joints just to get to sleep. I would, what I love to do now is get a like a batter or a sugar type thing that's got a little bit more of a powdery type consistency, and then sprinkle it into my joints. But anyway, point being, I was like, oh, this is great. Because again, in Jersey, we only just got legal marijuana in the past year or two. So I just, I didn't have anywhere to get dabs. And so I would have like somebody would have like a gram and they give me like a little thing. I'm like, am I supposed to be like dead from this? Everybody says like, oh my God. So I get into it and then I'm thinking, all right, well, why don't I just look into buying a press and press my own resin? You could just take the marijuana flower, it has 2 plates. They heat up. You have a special paper, a special bag, and it presses out the good stuff. What I didn't know was that it's a skill. It's not just like, boom, 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 and you're done and you got your own. Like they make the Levo where you can just put it in and it makes your oil or your butter just like that. But the press was not nice. I just speaking of Jersey Shore extracts, I completely forgot that I was supposed to sell that to them. But yeah, point being, I had this press and realized that even though I could do it myself, it didn't really make sense. It didn't make sense. I could get somebody else who does it perfectly to deliver it to my house. Why would I spend the time making my own thing? And so that, the parallel to making your own your homemade bullets, why would you want to if it's so difficult and when you can just go buy them?
Because it's not in particularly too difficult. If you get the right machinery, as you're saying with the Levo, they make machines that do like press a button, dude, and those bullets will run through the machine and make themselves. But I'm actually going to send you a video of a YouTuber that was using homemade rounds. There is no blood in this video, so do not worry about that.
Okay, so Nick's saying Nick's saying reloading should. I'm assuming that means reloading as opposed to reloading the gun. Reloading should be done for accuracy over cost savings. That makes a lot more sense. But the question is, how does that change by you loading it versus the standard that you would buy in a box?
It doesn't have to do. I've never heard it having to do with accuracy. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. He may be right, but I've never heard that to be done with accuracy. It definitely can be done with cost savings if you buy big enough bulk of primer and black powder, and let's say you own a range that people come to and they shoot at your berm. You can dig up the dirt out of your berm and siphon out the lead and melt that down and make tons of bullets and sell them at the gun shows and stuff like that legally, and sell them to people at the range. Like, have ammo that's range ready for people when they show up and rent guns, and make money off of it. It's very profitable if you work the right business stuff like that.
Right. So that's when I hear homemade bullets, it sounds to me like I'm just doing some janky. What are you doing? What he's trying to die. What are you doing?
Morty, calm down,
This guy. Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. But in the same way, like, you could grow your own weed. Again, just going with what I know. You can grow your own weed, but unless you're going to do it at a certain scale, then it's not really a cost saving endeavor. Cool. All right, so back to the
here, wait a second. Here, play this video real quick. I'm sorry, buddy. This is that skip to like 3 minutes in, and we'll see how it's actually supposed to fire compared to what actually happens.
So this video is my 50 cal exploded.
So yeah, if you want to pause. So this is a 50 cal. This is like this is not made by Barrett. This is not a Barrett 50 cal. This is a oh my gosh, I think his name's Lapua. His name is Mark Lapua. He makes this gun. And this is how this is different. This is not a mag fed, like, this does not use a magazine or anything like that. This is a single shot Barrett 50 cal. It is the actual bolt, which is where you put the bullet. And in modern weapons, this is where the firing pin sits, instead of like a revolver where it sits on the hammer. In a rifle, it sits in the bolt, and the bolt moves. Like, yes, exactly. So this unscrews like anything, like it's threaded on, and you stick the bullet in and then thread it back on. And then
is he doing that? And is this what he's doing right before this?
Yep, this is what he's showing right now. Yes.
Oh, right now. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if you want to just play it from right here,
all the way, and the gun closes completely, and everything is functioning as normal. And one thing is something someone may mention is maybe I didn't screw the cap on all the way. Well, you can clearly see the cap is screwed on all the way, and this gun actually will not close if the cap is not screwed on all the way.
Wait, so is he was attempting to just film himself shooting his 50 cal.
So these rounds are some special rounds that he bought that are supposed to, he's shooting at a fire hydrant, dude, and he is putting holes through this fire hydrant with these weapons, dude. And these are some special, I cannot remember the exact name, but he bought these from a gun show in a bag, and it was either the a wrong type of powder that burned too quickly. Yeah, oh dude, Dr. Evil, bro. This video is crazy, dude. When he bought these and he shoots a couple of them and they're fine, but a lot of times if the wrong powder is put into the weapon, this powder can go bad in the way of it doesn't work anymore, or it can go bad in the way of the explosion gets worse and actually the pressure builds even higher than what it's supposed to. And that's what happens in this situation, actually, is a wrong powder load, or it was an overload.
All right. Let's see.
So everything was functioning good on the gun. What I didn't know was the slap round that I put inside it was
A slap round. That's what it's
extra
called.
hot, and I had no idea. And there's really no way for me to have ever known. These rounds are extremely rare, and they're very old. They're like,
But I thought you said he specifically bought those rounds.
Yeah, he bought slap rounds specifically, but he bought them because what's different about these rounds is the bullet has a special tip on them that makes them special. It's not the powder that is inside of it. It is the tip that is on them.
So what is he saying? What is he saying that he couldn't have known?
Because he did not pack these. He bought these from someone that packed them.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
when he says slap rounds are super rare. Slap rounds are made by people at home that make their special bullets.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is in with the homemade the homemade ammo, the reloading,
Yes,
and all
exactly.
that. He bought some of those, and he's saying he couldn't have known that it was what?
He didn't know. He could have not known that the ammo had gone caustic, where it can go overcharge and blow up the gun like it happened here, or that they could have just been an oops, I held the powder thing for too long and I doubled the load on it and it wasn't made to
Maybe don't do that if you're selling weapons. But all right, let's see this guy blow his arm off.
And I had no idea. And there's really no way for me to.
I'm sure if we haven't been demonetized by now, this absolutely will get demonetized. So if you would like to donate,
he made a lot of money off this video, dude. He made a ton of money off this video.
I'm not.
He doesn't show any blood.
These rounds are extremely rare and they're very old. They're like $100 a piece. These aren't manufactured anymore. And really, there's no way you can really know what's happened to them over time as they've passed hand to hand. I was under the impression that these were genuine military surplus rounds and hadn't been tampered with. So now I'm going to actually show you what happened. It's not graphic. All the graphic stuff happened after the fact, and I'm going to tell you all about that. But I am going to show you what happened just so you can see what happened to me that day.
Show it. Oh my God! Damn!
Oh my God, dude. I've watched that video
Holy
about
crap.
70 times, dude.
But when I pulled the trigger,
oh
the
my
gun
God.
exploded almost immediately.
Clearly.
So the first thing was this cap. And this cap is solid steel, and it is very, very heavy. If you look right here, the threads are sheared off of this gun completely. I spoke with Mark Serbu, and he said that normal pressures.
He's the guy that made the gun, Mark Serbu.
PSI. And for those threads to have sheared off and this cap to have just blown off like that.
So remind me where this cap is on the gun.
So this was what the bolt is in front of this cap, right? And he put the bullet in to this where this goes, and this goes over the bullet
Gotcha.
and over the bolt. Gotcha. And the firing pin is actually on that.
Okay.
We're looking at over 85,000 PSI. So the cap blows off.
And then
it's kind of hard to put these on because of my little nose brace. I'll explain. But
that's crazy.
Safety glasses are on. And this cap, you can see this little crescent here. This cap hit me right there. I'm not really sure which way, probably more like this, but it struck me in the face.
Oh, hold on. I wanted to get a good picture.
Right there. You can see this little crescent here.
The best camera quality, but yeah, you can see, and these are, safety goggles. That is correct. Imagine if he didn't have those on. He'd be dead. The force of, just by the way he is carrying that thing, it looks pretty friggin' heavy. It's got to be at least a couple pounds. No?
Dude, that thing's probably that thing has to be at least 2 or 3 ounces of metal flying at your face. Bro.
Yeah, and
that's a slug. It's a shotgun slug.
That's a lot of gunpowder and whatever else. So
well, he said 89,000 pounds PSI of pressure.
Yep, that is what he said.
Dude,
that's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
This cap hit me right there. I'm not really sure which way, probably more like this, but it struck me in the face.
In the face!
When this cap hit me in the face, it broke my orbital bone in 3 spots, here, here, and here. It also broke my nose, and that's why I have this on. I've had to have facial surgery to repair all this. Here's the really bad part, though. On this lower, normally there's these 2 ears.
Okay, walk me through this. So what is the main, part of the gun that he's holding? What would you call it?
So right now, I would say that is called the lower of it. If you were to talk in that term, so that's like that is like where you would hold, you have your trigger mechanism is held in that, your bolts held in that. That is where the majority of the rounds held when it's shot, which is within the bolt. On this, so like that's that cap that he had on there that he screwed on. So like how this works, I think I remember how this gun works exactly, is that on that cap there is like a spring-loaded mechanism where you saw how like it was the cap and then another little hole like circle on top of that. Well, there should have been like a little lever on the back of that where the trigger hits that lever and smacks the firing pin into the bullet. Like so, like
gotcha. All right, so that's the lower, and then he's got in his right hand.
Normally, there's these 2 ears.
Ears. Talk to me.
Can you play a little bit more so I can see where he's placing them?
Right here. And this is what prevents you from closing the gun when the cap's not on all the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Asked and answered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So on that, that's not something that is not on probably normal weapons. That's probably specifically for this gun, like that cap is that he screwed on. But or probably just any type of levering weapon like that, that like levers open to put around in. But yeah, those ears are completely like those are made to be a part of that lower piece right there.
Oh, wait,
you see how the metal's completely broken off?
I was gonna say, but maybe he's just
to you from that stick up right here.
Okay, so I thought he was saying that he put them in, but that's just part of it, and it got blown up.
That is like when they made this and they stamped it or they machined it, this lower part that was built into the metal.
Wow. Give me 1 second here. I know we're not getting that. They already flagged the video. I know they're not going to overturn it, but request the review anyway. Guys, if you are a YouTuber, whenever they flag your stuff, always appeal. Most of the time, you will get it. This one, we're not, but appeal anyway.
For everything.
Exactly. No, nothing to lose. All right, so the ears that are part of the lower got blown off.
And this is what prevents you from closing the gun when the cap's not on all the way. If the cap is on all the way, it will fit perfectly right here with those ears pushed up against it. When the cap blew off the gun, it came straight back, shearing those ears.
So while we have this end, it's open on that end, right? So this would be
So my bad. When so right there, you see that lever right there that's like in the middle of the whole thing, like by the tree. Yep, that exactly. So that's the trigger. That's the trigger right there.
Gotcha.
So the bolt is actually on the other part of the gun. I forgot that this system's different than like a normal gun is, because it screws on like that. So like this doesn't have the bolt in it, but this is the whole trigger mechanism. The part you see the 2 circles on the other opposite end of where his hand's at. So that's the hinge that holds the gun together.
That was where when you had it like that, and then
So the whole other part of the breech, so like that would be in the middle of the barrel and the bolt, like the full bolt, where that'd be like the middle of where that's at.
Gotcha. All right, moving on.
Off the lower. One of these is still at the hospital, and this is the one we found.
Why is it still
there? This one zipped right past my head, went inside my hat.
Look at that. That slid across his head, dude.
It appears 7 to 8 feet. Now the other one is what almost ended me. The other hit me right here in the throat. It proceeded to lacerate my jugular vein and then punctured a hole in my right lung. As for my hand, my best guess is this is what did it. In the video, you can see that the stock almost disappears instantly.
All right, this is not the same thing. This isn't the lower that he was holding before, right?
I believe it came.
No, that's the piece that goes up against your shoulder. So like that's like what was up against his shoulder when he was holding it.
Gotcha.
Hole in my right lung. As for my hand, my best guess.
So is that a better look? That's the part that goes up against his shoulder.
That's the part that goes up against his shoulder.
Or is it stock? No, that is a stock.
That is a stock.
All right, I'm learning. We've learned it. If you're learning, let me know. Put a learning in the comments for me.
This is what did it. In the video, you can see that the stock almost disappears instantly. I believe it came in a downward motion and hit my finger.
So if it's from here, and then everything explodes,
so
and that goes from here, and his hand's on the trigger here, in a downward motion. Let's see.
In the video, you can see that the stock almost disappears instantly. I believe it came in a downward motion and hit my finger.
He has his hand. So he has his hand on the table, right? So like in front of him. So he's holding the gun, like because it's like if the table's right here. So he's got like this. So it comes down, smacks his hand, and that's why his hand's broken.
Damn!
You have your natural bend in your index finger. Well, this bone right here looked like a V. So my finger looked like a big W. So back to the lacerated jugular. I've now been hit in the throat.
I'll be right back, buddy.
And I'm not really sure what happened because when this cap hit me in the face, I went blind in my right eye instantly. I have vision coming back now, and they say my eyes should make a full recovery. But in that moment, I went completely blind in this eye. And it was like I had been punched. And I went backwards, and I landed on all fours. A lot of you wonder who is behind the camera in my videos. This is my dad. His name is also Scott.
That would not have been a fun thing to see. I don't have kids, but I can imagine not fun to see a 50 cal explode in your son's hands.
If he had not been out here with me, that would have been it for me. He come running up and he let me know of my injuries because I was still in a daze. I've just been punched in the face by a big metal cap. And he let me know real quick that there was a hole in my neck and I was losing a lot of blood really fast.
Jeez.
My dad shoved his thumb into my neck and said, "Put your thumb there." Now that I'm aware of what's going on, I took my left thumb, I took my shirt,
of his broken hand, as
far into my neck as possible.
So if anybody missed that, he has a hole in his chest, and his dad stuck his thumb in the hole, and then he had to take his own broken hand and shove it in the hole in his chest. What the F?
I was not aware that my jugular was lacerated, but I did know this is really bad. I have a law enforcement background, and I've been trained in injuries and wounds and gunshots and things like that.
I'm gonna tell you something, guys. You've been watching. I don't know jack shit about guns. You don't need law enforcement to tell that was not a good situation.
And I know very well that if you get hit in the neck, it's not good because you can't tourniquet a neck. That's that brilliant law enforcement training. Plugged the hole. I applied extreme pressure, pinched my head down into my hand, and made a run for the truck. So the truck here was right near us. There's a trailer attached. I had to run around the front. I jumped in the passenger seat. Dad jumped in, and we took off. And this all happened in a matter of seconds.
I just want to mention here that his hand that is in his throat right now, stopping him from bleeding out from his throat, his finger is broken in half at the moment he's doing. The one that's shoved in his neck is literally cut into two pieces.
His index finger.
On the hand on that hand. So his thumb is in his neck and his index finger is just hanging out here.
Oh, okay.
In two pieces. Yeah. So like, that's like, you can't even tell where the blood's coming from. Like, is my thumb actually in my neck, or am I just bleeding from my hand?
That is a sentence. That is a question I hope I never, ever, ever, ever have to ask. Is my thumb in my neck?
What? I would say under a minute, we were in that truck and just hauling tail into town. Something I forgot to mention, this upper weighs like 25 pounds. And you can see in the video that it just gets thrown off the table. So much pressure came out the back of this upper that it launched it off the table. It's an insane amount of energy that was thrown into my body. So now we're driving very fast into town. I am applying constant pressure to my throat, and I'm breathing very slowly.
I did not anticipate on watching this whole thing, but I am hooked. So you're along for the ride. We're taking a quick detour.
Trying to control my heart rate. The faster your heart rate, the faster you're going to bleed. My dad's driving, so I thought it would be nice of me to call the ambulance. My dad
Why did you call an ambulance?
But I wanted to do it myself.
Listen where he lives, bro.
Try and stay awake. I needed to be doing something to keep myself conscious.
It's 2023, bro. That's what TikTok's for. Do you know how much ambulances cost?
Dude, he lives, you know how I was saying I live far from anywhere. I live probably max 20, 15 minutes away from a hospital. This man said he lived 40 minutes away from the nearest town. And when they were racing to the ambulance to get him, and they were debating on sending a helicopter to come get them from his car, meet him halfway on the interstate and get him.
Well, I mean, I feel you, but like, if you're not going to get the chopper, I'm just saying, you're already going to have bills through the roof. You don't need another $750.
This guy. I think
I'm just nitpicking on the stuff I do know.
Bills are last of his worries. I think when his whole hand is in his throat.
Yeah.
I have an iPhone. There's this nifty little feature on the side here, and if you hit that button one too many times, you'll call 911.
Why did you just do it now?
This can be kind of annoying when you're trying to shut off your alarm in the morning. But when there's a lot of bodily fluids on your phone and you can't open it, it comes in really handy. I got on the phone with 911 and I let them know what had happened, and that we were coming into town and they were going to send an ambulance to meet us halfway. There were several times where I thought
okay. I'm thinking, I know I'm nitpicking on this, but it's just like, why wouldn't it take time to get from your car into the ambulance and like get to the hospital? But then I guess they can do stuff in the ambulance that you can't do in a car.
And you got to think of the fact that you're driving.
Definitely got that morphine.
Yeah, well, you're also driving a normal car, so if you're not, you may not be able to get in the fast lane if there's a bunch of people in the way.
If you know how to rip it, you can rip it.
Yeah,
traffic is one thing, but if you know how to rip it,
this is Kentucky, bro. This is 2-lane interstates, dude. This is semi truck. Yeah, I guess, dude. But I bet that ambulance.
Because I mean, hey, that's all I know.
Pass out. Point. And I knew if I passed out,
God, please save me.
Because my dad's driving. If I pass out, who's going to keep applying pressure to my neck to keep me from bleeding out? Times like this, you really need something to focus on. And I focused on my kids. I had their faces in my brain, and I just focused on them. And I fought as hard as I could. I stayed conscious the entire time. We met the ambulance halfway. They got me loaded up, and we took off towards the hospital.
Please.
And like I said, I know that I was in a bad spot. And I don't know if you know this, but if your jugular is completely severed, you have 30 seconds. I knew that being hit in the throat, I may not have much time, but the closer we got to the hospital, the more my confidence built. And I thought, hey, maybe I'm going to be all right. When I was in the ambulance, I asked them to cut my shirt off because I was having trouble breathing, and I thought maybe I'd been hit in the chest as well. They cut my shirt off. There wasn't anything there, but when I got to the hospital, they x-rayed me, and they said my right lung had collapsed because it had filled with blood, and that was from this little guy here puncturing my lung as well. So from there, they had to intubate me while I was wide awake, and I tell you, that is not fun. Take this long metal rod with a point on it, and they stick it through your rib cage, and it wasn't fun. After that, I was feeling a little better. I could breathe a little better. And then they wanted me to take my thumb out of my neck. And I was like, we're not taking my thumb out of my neck. You just wrap it up with some tape and stay there. But they told me I had to take my thumb out of my neck. So they had a bunch of gauze.
Just gonna live like that?
And packing. And as soon as I pull it out, they packed my throat.
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I'm getting bored again. I just want to see the thing.
The explosion again.
Yeah.
And just so you can see.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Oh my God!
Look at his hat. Look at his hat.
Yeah,
just
the hat goes
that
all
piece
the
of.
way. That's crazy.
And,
So
dude,
let's actually go through this a couple times and slow her down. I don't know if this is a slow-mo one. So okay, that was a fast motion one.
Oh my gosh!
So all right, slow-mo, half speed slow-mo. That's
like, look, the whole gun turns red, like from the whole gun.
That's a dope sound.
He plays
like an intro to a nice beat. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to see that. I lost interest in the story, but let's get back to the article. So again, they were talking about how they found live ammunition around on different people's belts. So 2 loose 45 rounds were collected from the top of a prop cart. A third was in a bandolier worn by one of the performers, and a fourth was found in a brown holster. The report didn't indicate which belt belonged to which actor, but a source close to the production told Vanity Fair the bandolier belonged to the character played by supernatural actor Jensen Ackles, who I'm going to assume is your boy Ned.
I'm pretty sure that's him. Yes.
All right.
I'm about to look it up.
And that the holster was Baldwin's, though representative of through a representative, Ackles declined to comment. The fifth, I was going to say, I'm not done right now. The fifth live round was found in a box of dummy ammunition. In the box of dummy ammunition. Fake bullets made to look like the real thing for camera close-ups. Dummies are completely harmless with no explosive powder in them whatsoever, unlike blanks, which create a bang but don't have a projectile attached. So the ones we were looking at before, the crimped ones, those are going to be the
blanks.
Those are the blanks.
Yes,
because you get the flash, but you don't get a projectile. But the dummies don't have any. Is that the same thing you were talking about with the rubber bullets?
Yeah, that's exactly like a rubber bullet or just like maybe even some of these. So they make some dummy bullets that are still the metal casing, but they don't have anything in them, and they may have just like rubber ends or whatever, just to keep the like the looking shiny, but at least have like the bullet looking fake, like real, or just there's not a chance that it's gonna fire.
Gotcha. All right. So unlike blanks, this container, quote, is suspected this container, quote, is the suspected box Hannah was loading the firearm with which Hannah was loading the firearm. You don't end a sentence in a preposition. Sorry, technically that's not the end of the sentence. That's the end of the quote. But anyway, this box contained 36 suspected dummy rounds and 1 suspected live round. 1 suspected? That's a weird. That's a weird thing about the why. First of all, why are the real bullets in the box of the dummy bullets in the first place? That doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen.
I thought they said they found 2 bullets in the cart. Now they're saying there was 1 suspected in the box.
Well, maybe one being the one he shot, and then this one.
Well, I thought those were on his belt. I thought he had 1 on his belt. It said there was 2 on one actor's bandolier, 1 on a belt, and then 2 on the cart.
Yeah, so we had the 5 bullets. 2 loose 45 rounds, third in the bandolier, worn by your boy.
Mm.
So yeah, 2 loose, and third, where's the 4th? Right? Am I stupid?
That's what I'm
100% of
saying.
these 5. Okay, 5 items. So let's go, and we'll count them. And doing them again. All the ripples. Company supplies. 2 loose 45 rounds of correction from the top. A third is in the bandolier. One of the primer. A 4th. Okay. Okay. So 4th was in the holster, and the 5th was a live round in the box of dummy ammunition. But then again, the phrasing here. The
suspected.
What do you mean suspected? Did you already know that there was live rounds in a box of dummy rounds?
What?
I wonder if they're saying suspected so they can't get sued by the dummy round manufacturer.
That's the FBI report, I'm pretty sure. We'll check it in a second. Nick says that was crazy. Probably 1 in a billion chance. Really? Wow. Okay. Injuries from catastrophic gun failure are rare, and compared to anything else used in sport like a baseball, extremely rare.
Good.
That's
good. That's what we're talking about with the Crow and Brandon Lee. Like that wasn't even a gun that went off. That was an air gun with something in the barrel. It wasn't. That had nothing to do with a live round.
That's
killing somebody.
Crazy. Yeah, that's a because this is the report. The last time we talked about a report, we were talking about an FBI analysis. And then it says, this is a quote, this container, quote, is the suspected box, the suspected box Hannah was loading the firearm with. And it had 36 suspected dummy rounds and 1 suspected live round. What does that actually mean?
No, it's like, and this is a quote. Who's this a quote from?
That's what I'm saying. This is from the FBI report. The report, the report states, this box contained 36 suspected dummy rounds and 1 suspected live round. So I mean, maybe they were just trying to cover, but that's a weird way to phrase that. It's not clear how the real bullet got into that container. Well, obviously somebody put it there. Obviously somebody put it there. And if it's on your belt, if it's just on the cart, I can understand where there is a you could make the mistake. But putting it in the box that is supposed to be for dummy rounds, that's shady. Hey, we got Indie Film in the building. Welcome to the party. Says sup, Morty. That's from Indie Film saying thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Indie Film. We are talking about guns and trying to learn about what is going on and figure out what is good with the Alec Baldwin situation.
The next time we do this, bro, I'm gonna set my cat's bed like right behind me, bro.
Copycat.
I'm
just kidding. Actually, I stole it from Moist Critical. So there we go. And seems to be the only way I get paid on this stuff.
I feel like you stole your look from Moist Critical, bro. What are you talking about, dude? You look in Indian Moist Critical.
Maybe. Anyway, it's not clear how the real bullet got into the container, but the report also included fingerprint testing of the box. Quote, this report examined latent prints on the container against Gutierrez, Baldwin, and prop workers, one of the prop workers, and Halls. So I think Halls was the dude that got shot. Gutierrez was the one that died.
No, her name was it was something different for sure. It was I cannot think of it.
I am so bad with names.
Hutchinson, right there. Go up, go. Haley Hutchison. I saw it up a little bit more right there at the bottom. Yep, right there.
Okay, killing her.
Yep, and then Joel, and then the other guy is Joel Sozel.
So we're talking about assistant director who handed him the gun and the armor. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
So the Gutierrez is the girl, and
Yes.
Halls was the dude who handed Baldwin the gun. Hannah, the document says, Hannah is identified as the only person of interest with a positive result identification of latent prints, meaning, later, on the ammunition box. So it would make sense that her prints would be on the box.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense that her prints would be on the box, but number one, why wouldn't anybody else's be on the box if the Halls guy is the one who loaded the gun? And then again, why is there a live round in a box of dummy bullets? That doesn't.
But
that's shady.
They say the only person of interest that finger. So that sounds like there's other fingerprints that were on the box.
That
weren't people of interest.
Yeah. So Hannah's identified as the only person of interest. No. Only positive with a positive result of the prints on the ammunition.
Okay. With a positive result.
So none of these people
identified as the only person of interest. I can see.
Yeah. So Gutierrez, so Hannah's lawyer issued a statement of Vanity Fair that continued to question whether an outside supplier introduced the bullets to the set, and noted that the investigation report did not include fingerprint analysis of the bullets themselves. Quote, it's inconceivable that the sheriff did not request fingerprints and DNA from the Starline brass rounds as opposed to the boxes. That's an interesting point. Yeah, it would make sense. Yeah, why would you test just the box if you know that the bullet was in the box? You're testing the box, but not the bullet or the casing or whatever.
I hope. I think it was Nick that talked about the micro stamping. I was looking at that and reading a little bit about that on the side, and it was pretty much serial numbers for rounds, and like it was just markings that would make you identify batch numbers and stuff like that, and like that would probably definitely help. Well, I don't think that would help with a lot of shooting cases because you could just buy bullets with cash and there'd be no transaction like receipt left or anything like that.
Which is exactly why we would expect them to take prints of the actual casing. Nick says, I think that it was made to look like an accident because you can tell the difference. You don't accidentally load a real round. Firearms expert or actor, that was intentional. It's looking that way. It's looking that way.
And then they're saying that the armorer didn't load the gun. They're saying this assistant direct producer loaded this gun. So he might not even know the difference between these dummy rounds and real rounds either.
Which goes more to Nick's point that if it's not Hannah, the expert who is there to be the expert on guns, if it's not her who's loading the gun, then and somebody else is. Why isn't she loading the gun if that's her responsibility?
This was I think this was just a super badly ran production, bro. This was like working a Home Depot, like standing outside of Home Depot, like there's no safety in this at all, like no OSHA involved.
And that's what a lot of the arguments with the crew, including the woman who died, were happening before the incident. So yeah, it's inconceivable that the sheriff did not request fingerprints and DNA from the Starline brass rounds as opposed to the boxes. Multiple people touched the various boxes on set. The boxes are not what caused the harm. The leathers, the bandolier and the holster belt, are not what caused the harm. The central question is, and always has been, where did the live rounds come from? Because they were the instrument of catastrophic harm when combined with the firearm in Baldwin's hand. Is this a serious flaw in the investigation? Oh, this is a serious flaw in the investigation. And it begs the question, why did the sheriff not want to get to the bottom of this? I will say that, that's exactly what I was thinking, that there's, a box of bullets, that could go anywhere, but only one person, or maybe, the people who are, the Halls guy, Hannah and Baldwin, would have fingerprints on the actual bullet. I will say, though, that this article is seeming to be like it's protecting Hannah. It's specifically trying to frame Baldwin in a bad light, and specifically trying to frame Hannah in a good light. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying be aware of that's where they are coming from. Multiple. Hannah's father, longtime movie armorer, Thel Reed, had reached out to investigators to suggest that the live ammunition may have been introduced to the set by prop supplier Seth Kenny. And investigators served a search warrant on his Albuquerque shop in November 2021 to examine live rounds Thel Reed said the supplier had once used to train actors at a shooting range. Quote, the chemistry testing revealed all the powder in the cartridges were uniform, however, did not match the cartridges collected on the set of Rust, the report says, apparently clearing Kenny of involvement. A box of dummies he supplied to the set was also found to be clear of any live ammunition. So it's not the dude who's selling you a box of dummy rounds with the one real one in there, which would, I guess, make some kind of sense. But if that's not it, who else is it going to be? It says the ballistic fingerprint left on a bullet by its barrel is as unique as human fingerprints, probably better. So, I mean, slant or no slant in this article, that is a legitimate criticism of the sheriff and the investigation.
Well, I think what Nick's saying here, the barrel, we know, so like that's like in a murder case where you don't know where the gun's at or what gun was used. We know what gun was used in this case, so it doesn't really matter what the barrel fingerprint looks like on the gun, on the bullet, because we know what the gun was. We know who shot.
Gotcha.
We're trying to figure. Yeah, this is he's talking about the barrel print. Now I wouldn't say fingerprint.
Gotcha. So that he's talking like you could definitely tell that it came from this gun, but we already know that it came from that gun because
we're trying to figure out who
why.
Yeah, who put this bullet?
But why? So yeah, he was cleared of that, and the box of dummies he supplied to the set was also found to be clear of any ammunition. All right, how it happened. We are getting to the meat. Thank you, sir. While no other live rounds were found inside actual weapons, the presence of their presence on the prop cart and on the costumes of the actors demonstrates just how easily one of them could have been introduced into one of the firearms at any point during the production. It's exactly what you were saying, that because Hannah's eyes weren't on the gun at the moment, and there was live ammunition on his belt, least amount of assumptions says he put the bullet in the gun, pointed at her, and shot it.
What I want to know is was his belt full? Or like I would say it would have to be full. If they gave him a loaded weapon and he had rounds on his belt and he had a full belt, he took one out, he would have to take one out and replace it to put that into the gun. So if he had a full belt, or if he was missing a bullet out of the belt, that'd be kind of strange.
I'm thinking like, well, if we're taking the angle that he did this on purpose, then you would want to have a full belt, like whether they're dummy rounds or not.
But
and you would put the actual round like in your pocket or something, or in your mouth, and then, or
you're looking down at them.
If the rest of them were dummy rounds, you just put the one live. We know he had multiple live rounds on his belt.
Yeah, he had two.
He had two on his belt.
He had one. He had one on his belt, and then he had one in the gun.
Okay, so so then it could be that he just replaced one of the live rounds on his belt with a dummy round, and so that's why. Yeah, that's what's making sense to me. All right. So another live rounds were found inside actual weapons. Their presence on the prop cart and on the costumes of the actors demonstrates just how easily one of them could have been put into the firearms at any point in the production. The script called for a shootout between Baldwin character and Ackles, which was never performed, but one earlier sequence that was filmed for the movie involved a grown-up actor holding a child hostage. Yikes. With the villain's gun cocked and pointed at the back of the boy's head. Any one of these live rounds of ammunition mingled around the set could have turned lethal during these scenes. What do you mean could have? What do you mean could have?
It did.
They did.
It did turn lethal, man.
What are you doing?
This almost killed two. This almost killed two.
Yeah,
people.
it almost exactly. Well, it did kill one person and almost killed another person. So could have is I mean, I get what they're saying, but weird phrasing again. This appears to be exactly what happened with the bullet that killed the cinematographer. In his interview with the sheriff's detectives, Ackles, who character taunts Baldwin into a shootout as the older gunslinger, hides inside the church. Ackles described what happened as they rehearsed the scene. Quote, he said they were given the gun belts and firearms first thing in the morning due to it being part of their costume, the report states. So again, that's weird because you know, it's one thing to use an actual real gun for a shooting scene, but for just a prop, why would you not have a foam gun or a rubber gun? Again, more ego. That's what it sounds like to me.
Make it look as real as possible, you know, but there's like as I was talking about earlier, they can use guns that don't have the pins in them, that don't have the firing pins in them. Exactly.
So what are you doing? And of course, it's all comes back to the director. So even if it was something else. So it's supposed to be part of their costume. If Ackles' bandolier did indeed have a live round in it, he was likely wearing it all day. The actor also described the moment of the shooting for investigators. Quote, Jensen was, shout out to Jane Jensen. Jensen was standing right outside of the church for off-camera dialogue. So you could hear him speaking. However, the camera would have been focusing on Alec pulling out the firearm, the report says. Jensen mentioned how right before the gun went off, Helena was directing Alec to show her the action. Okay, so there's some plausible deniability. Show me the action. Now, could he have known that she was going to say that? Because if we're assuming he planned all of this, then either he's going to say, like, all right, I'm just waiting for a moment, or that's a show me the action is something that they would say in different circumstances. You know what I mean? Back to the report, quotes, he said after the shot went off, he observed the wounded director, Joel, screaming, and Helena seated with blood starting to pool at the back of her jacket. The report continues. Jensen said once he saw them, he started calling for a medic, then stood back and waited for help. Jensen advised he's I never know what this means. What does this mean?
Well, let me. Sorry, I gotta make it full screen so I can actually read that.
The in brackets SIC. Sometimes when they have quotes, they'll put like in regular parentheses ... to connect to quotes. But where's Harley when you need her? Anyway, Jensen advised that he started moving equipment away from the front of the church to make room for EMS. Ackles told investigators that before the tragedy, he personally verified his bullets were fakes. Jensen advised he does his own checks on the weapon and tells others to as well. So now we have the precedent for checking your own gun as the actor. So that's not an excuse, because the again, I don't remember exactly what their roles are, but the guy who would tell you says to check your own gun. So if you didn't check your own gun, then that's got to fall on you. Who else could it be?
So that what you just asked what that means. So I looked it up. It means that's put after a quote, a word that might be odd to use, but it's to show that it was used as like in the quote. It's exact quoting, quote for quote.
Gotcha. Thank you. I don't think so, but good. That's funny. You're funny. You're a funny guy. Yeah. All right. So, where do we leave off? The investigators that before the tragedy, Ackles said before the tragedy, he personally and he tells they should be checking their firearm. Ackles told detectives he verified that his 45 was loaded only with dummies that day by doing a visual check and firing the weapon into the ground, which also doesn't seem like a smart thing to do either. Firing into the ground, wouldn't it ricochet?
It just depends. Like, depends what you're shooting at. Like, if you're shooting at some soft dirt and you shoot into that, it's probably just gonna go straight into it. If you're shooting on some concrete, yeah, you're gonna get some freaking ricochet. But
I guess.
But yeah, if it's like where they were at, like in the desert, but like if you hit a rock, yeah, this is definitely not smart.
Exactly
like shooting in the ground, not smart in general at all.
But hey, at least he checked. I mean, if only Alec Baldwin had shot the ground. I mean,
yeah,
we'll take what we can get at this point. Then
only Alec Baldwin would not have been Alec Baldwin.
Oh, Alec Baldwin. And then we watched the clip of George Clooney talking about if your protocol is you checking the gun every time, well, good for you. Good for you. He said, my protocol was to wait a minute. Whoa. Am I skipping over a part? In his interview with okay, gotcha. So we did see the clip of George Clooney saying that, but I thought they were quoting him. So let me just read the article. In his interview with ABC, Baldwin expressed annoyance with other actors, George Clooney among them, who said they make a habit of checking their prop guns personally and don't rely exclusively on armors or assistant directors. Quote from Baldwin, if your protocol is you checking the gun every time, well, good for you. Good for you, he said. My protocol was to trust the person that had the job, and it worked up until this point. But we just heard that not only other people on the set, but the people who are in charge of this stuff, the people who you say that you trust, told you to check the gun. So that don't line up, homie. That don't line up. The math ain't mathing. Ooh, they got Baldwin's phone. All right. The report also details the efforts investigators undertook to get access to Baldwin's phone. Phones of Gutierrez Reed, Halls, and other figures in the case were examined by detectives, and messages about safety concerns before the shooting were included in the report. It also gathered statements that made it also gathered statements they made to each other and friends and associates in the aftermath of Hutchins' death. Many of them previously documented in Santa Fe County Sheriff's Detective Alexandria Hancock first asked Baldwin's attorney for a forensic download of his cellular phone. Really? You can't just say cell phone, iPhone? Anyway.
Cellular device.
Baldwin's team resisted, insisting the investigators from New Mexico get a search warrant in New York where the actor lives. Hancock documents this in a 2-page section of the report. After a negotiation between his attorneys and the Santa Fe District Attorney's Office that set in place some privacy parameters, the actor turned over his phone to Suffolk County investigators in New York State. But even after that, months of negotiations followed as the two sides haggled over which communications were relevant to the case. The final data extraction was not complete until August 17th of last year. For the first time, investigators were able to see Baldwin's candid, private comments about what happened. But the surprise is the absence of comments immediately after Hutchins' death. That's shady. You just killed somebody and you're not. Nick says he was covering up, knocking her up. Oh no. Can you imagine?
From what I heard, he was not knocking up nobody on. Everyone hated his guts on this film. He was an awful boss.
That would be crazy. But yeah, you would expect that if you killed somebody, unless I'm thinking that now that maybe his lawyer was just like, don't talk about this with anyone. That makes sense. Okay, I was gonna say that like that would be weird Because if it was just like you and me, and like I fucking killed somebody, I would need to talk to somebody about it. But that doesn't make sense. That the lawyer was probably like, just STFU. Yeah, the absence of comments immediately after Hutchins' death. The sheriff's department reported they found no record of calls or messages on the day of the shooting or even the day after. That's weird. That's weird.
If I'm gonna say, if I don't think I'd be in this situation, but if I was in a situation similar, I'd probably be doing the same thing.
I agree, but it does look bad. It looks really, really bad. Just not be talking to anybody. Because
would you like intentionally be like, oh my god, I act like this dude? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what happens, like you were still behind the. Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. But regardless of what actually happened, you still ended the life of somebody. And so if you're saying that it was a mistake, then you have nothing to be. I mean, not nothing, but you have much less to cover up. This is just an accident that happened. And so not even a call to the lawyer? Was his lawyer on set already? How did he? I mean, I guess, they get media training, and it's like, if you're ever in trouble, just don't say anything. But I mean,
it is his production too, so it might make sense for his lawyer to already be on set.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And that's also why he might not be talking to his wife or anything like that too. It's his family might be there.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that does make sense. So on October 23rd, 2021, Alex sends a message. So this was this is 2 days after. Sends a message to his assistant and advises, I have to delete my archive. There's no further details on the meaning of this message.
The only text that they found was him texting Hillary saying, how do you acid wash your emails?
Yeah, I think if it wouldn't traumatize you, you might need to go get that checked out, because he might be a psycho. So I'm right there with you. All right. Yeah, that is shady. That is shady. I have to delete my archive. To his assistant 2 days after the shooting, and nothing in between.
They found
no further details on the
file.
meaning of that message. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Baldwin's lawyer said the quote delete comment referred to Baldwin's Twitter account.
What?
Stop the cap. Explaining that the actor sent it after he was advised by a PR consultant to clear his past tweets to avoid people resharing out of context old comments that might seem distasteful after the shooting. Despite the message, Nikas pointed out that was the lawyer pointed out that they never actually followed through to erase the Twitter history. Shady.
It's probably because that's not what they wanted to delete. They probably deleted what they wanted to delete.
Yep. There's no phone calls on the report from the day. Wait, they just said that. There's no phone calls on the report from the day of the incident. The report states, it adds, however, that there were several calls made and received from the movie's prop master, Sarah Zachary, on the 23rd, same day as the text. Baldwin's attorney told Vanity Fair the apparent absence of messages or calls on the day of and after shooting were due to two factors. All right, we're getting our answer. Potentially. One, communication between Baldwin and his wife, Hilaria, or his attorneys are privileged under the law and would naturally have been excluded. Exactly. So
yeah, you don't have to it's American law that your spouse doesn't have to
but that's all the more reason why text messages or calls to her wouldn't be a big deal. Same with his lawyer. That's privileged information.
But they can use those as evidence against him, right?
I'm pretty sure they can. That's exactly what you were just referring to. Conversations between
I think
certainly conversations between the lawyer cannot be used.
I think she doesn't have to testify spoken word, but I think like messages, letters, and stuff like that, if those are found, those can be used as evidence.
They're both privileged under the law. I guess would naturally have been excluded. So if this is true for his wife and his attorney, that they are privileged and it would exclude them, then why are you not talking to them? Or why are you deleting anything?
Yeah. They might be on set.
I mean, that's fair, but that's not. This is a dumb reason. To this is a dumb excuse. So the second one was the lawyer said that some messages were captured by Suffolk County investigators, but were overlooked by the detectives. He said he was never asked by detectives to clarify the delete comment and was not asked about the absence of messages. That's Hollywood for you. Well, when the Santa Fe DA contacted him recently with questions about his seemingly blank spot in the phone, the lawyer said he pointed them to the Suffolk County files that contained those non-privileged communications. Okay, so there were pointed them to those files that contain non-privileged. Okay, but that still brings the even if it's not, even if you can't use it as evidence, the fact that it's not there is in itself evidence. That's not privileged information. The fact that you didn't talk to your wife, the fact that you didn't talk to your lawyer, I'm pretty sure that's not privileged information. I could be wrong. But the DA's office responded with this statement. The DA and the special prosecutor continue to analyze all of the evidence, including the forensic download of Mr. Baldwin's phone. Until that review is complete, the office will not comment on or confirm Mr. Baldwin's attorney's interpretation of the evidence. I wouldn't either.
So I wonder if it differs in a because I don't think this wasn't a jury trial. Mm-mm. So I wonder if like a jury trial, they can use the fact that he didn't contact his lawyer or his wife for the jury to decide.
So. Well, I do think so. I think in either case, whether it's an indictment or not an indictment, but like what do they call it? I don't know, trial by a judge. Then I think it's the rules for evidence are I'm pretty sure they're the same.
If the lawyer streamer I watch gets on tonight, I'm gonna see if I can get him to answer that.
Yeah, that'd be dope. All right. Give me a second here. Among the messages Santa Fe investigators did gather from Baldwin's phone was an email sent to him by actor that person who had been wary of the way safety precautions were handled on set. I will say this. I would be lying, like we're in quotes. So I will say this. I would be lying if I didn't feel a bit unsettled with the chaos on set as an actor, she wrote, according to the report. How there was absolutely no rehearsal for these scenes. How the AD seemed to be rushing everyone to move on. How the camera crew was trying their best to get the shot. How we ran out of time for coverage on my scene at the end of the day. There's a lot going on. And this is what I was talking about before with the issues that were happening and why, we're thinking this is his first his directorial debut. Things aren't going well. People aren't happy. Things happen. Moving on. So she defended Hannah's diligence in some scenes, but also indicated that another scene involving a gun and an aggressive cowboy left her feeling unsettled. Quote, even though I never had a proper safety meeting about the guns, Hannah was super informative, told me all she could in a short period of time, kept checking the barrel to see if there were any bullets, helped me in how to hold it and put it down. I totally felt safe in holding that rifle, she wrote. It's hard to not replay that scene with Fenton. What the fuck does that mean? When he pushed me against the wall, I grabbed his gun belt with a pistol in the holder. I don't recall anyone checking that one. I saw your face crinkle up. What do you respond to?
Checking the barrel for bullets. Like, was she looking down the barrel? Like,
well, this is the one who doesn't know anything, so I'm sure she means checking, like taking the cylinder out and checking that. This is what I'm saying. Those of us out here, we don't know where to get this day one entry level information.
I wish Alec Baldwin would have checked that barrel, bro. Just like,
whoops. Yeah, I
Would have
don't
been
wanna
for
follow
her
anyone checking
safety.
that one. And yeah, but she's saying it's hard not to replay the scene when he pushed me against the wall and I grabbed his gun belt with a pistol in the holder, and don't recall anyone checking that. Now we have the quote from Baldwin: "I didn't pull the trigger." Didn't you know? I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. Seems like you don't pull that trigger. All right. Baldwin made this statement in a December 2021 sit-down with ABC journalist George Stephanopoulos. Stunning viewers and investigators alike, guns just don't just go off. Santa Fe County Sheriff responded in an interview with Fox News. The FBI analysis of the gun contradicts Baldwin's claim, with the hammer at quarter-cock and half-cock positions, which we now know that, okay, we didn't talk about the quarter-cock, but half-cock is the safety, and then quarter-cock, what would you do with the quarter-cock? Quarter-cock! What does that mean?
Quarter-cock, that's so sorry, I'll answer that first. So quarter-cock, that's the safety. So you know that video I showed you earlier of that guy that had the whole shoe. So
let's take a look at
go back to the beginning of that. So you see how the gun is right there. So that is quarter-cock. That is pretty much like this. That's like kind of like the that's how you would have the gun like loaded and safe, like on your hip. But as you can see from this video, it's not safe. That's why he goes into talking about cowboy loading, and that's where you have it's that gun holds 6 rounds, but you have 5, and then you hold your gun like that at quarter-cock with no bullet in that chamber. So when you pull it out and cock it, like how he talks about in the rush shoot, like when Alec Baldwin talks about that, it would switch over to your next round as you cock the gun, because that's when the chamber switches as you cock it. So when you go to cock it, it will go over to the chamber with the bullet in it as you pull it out, and that makes it to where you can have the gun pretty much ready in your holster without having that chance, like he shows, of you smacking it and going off.
Gotcha.
It'll work, John. Yeah, that'll be good. Oh my gosh! I should know better than to have 6 rounds in there. Look at my foot. I don't feel it though. I must have missed my foot. I just shot my shoe, but not my foot. Lucky me. That's why you don't carry 6 rounds, one under the hammer in an old Colt single action or a new Colt single action, okay? Or anything like it in a Colt clone that doesn't have a hammer block, transfer system, some kind of safety thing to keep the hammer, the firing pin, from resting on the primer, okay? You want 5 rounds in there. I have shown you all that before. Whew.
So obviously that was fake. That was set up, but this is the part that we want to play. So this is the exact same gun that they were using. We can see the hammer is not cocked at all. So you could bring it back here or you can bring it back
that
here.
That might be a little quarter. I can't. It might be not cocked, or I can't. No, it's not cocked, because you can. There's like that quarter cock is like really hard. Like it's really tiny.
But yeah, so this is the so once that is pulled back, there is no way to set off the gun without pulling the trigger.
Not unless, as you saw earlier, unless you smack it down like he did when he shot his
right. But I'm saying in the Baldwin situation, if you pull it out like that, and there's nothing hitting the hammer, then you have to
action with 6 rounds in it. That firing pin.
So what is it at right now?
So right now he's it looks like he is
hold action.
So it looks like it's not cocked
with
at all.
6 rounds in
not
it.
cocked at all.
So I heard
right
one
there's
click.
Half cock.
Okay.
That firing pin is going to be either resting on the.
So what is this thing that he just flipped forward?
That's how you load
rounds.
That's how you load the rounds in right there.
And
This one does not.
That
This
firing
one
pin
is
going to be either resting.
So
you see how?
So the cylinder doesn't come out. Okay.
Yes.
On the primer,
And so that's what,
or you're at that first
oh
notch.
my goddamn button stopped working again. So that's what you're talking about before. It's cocked and you pull it back again, and then you slowly release it.
How he was doing it right there.
We're learning.
It's also kind of fragile. And if you pop it, you'll break it and chip off the hammer and, maybe fire the gun. Some people will disagree. You'll see them in the comments. But people who really knew these and relied on a Colt single action, they carried them daily in the Old West or any time.
And what I love
really
about
knew
this
them.
video is that he talks about Clint Eastwood and some other old Western actors, and he talks about how well they knew the firearms that they worked with in their movies.
Including John Wayne and real cowboys. They carried 5. And as John Wayne said, if you're going into gunfight, you think you need 6, go ahead and put the 6th one in there, Or if you're at the range, you can put 6 in, right? I tend to just load 5 out of habit, because in cowboy action shooting, you don't dare ever load 6. I did that for about 10 years. And so it's just a force of habit.
So what I'm understanding is that you leave one chamber without a bullet, and you keep that one where it's cocked. So if something were to happen, there's no bullet. Getcha.
And then that's when it's at quarter cock. So when it's at that quarter cock, that means the chamber hasn't rotated yet. And then once you get to half cock, the chamber rotates. Full cock, you can pull the trigger and shoot the gun.
Gotcha.
Habit. And if you're worried about capacity, get a Glock 17, right? So anyway, important issue. Again, as we've shown you all before, I have some rounds in my pocket. The John Wayne,
just like Alec Baldwin did.
Load, the cowboy load. You put 1 round in, you skip the chamber. Then you put 4 in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when I pull the hammer back, underneath there is an empty chamber. I just know it. Watch this. Click. Okay, if you do that correctly, that's what happens every time.
But now, so no, it turns when you pull it back.
So so he's gonna put so now you can put it at the quarter cock like he was talking about and have that in there, and then when you're pulling it out, you go out cocking it, and then it flips over to the round as you're going out to aim at what you want to shoot at.
Gotcha.
Time, and so I could holster it. Now it's not on a live round. Okay, hammer's down all the way. It's not even in the quote unquote safety notch, first notch. It's just on an empty chamber. And I know it's total.
It says the famous Colt 4 clicks, 2 to half cock, 2 more to fully cock. That's called a loading gate. The flip out, the flip out part. Gotcha. Cowboy load is load 1, skip 1, load 4. Yep. Speaking of that, if y'all ain't been watching, I mean, I don't know how it's going to end, but it is near the end. So if you have not been watching Yellowstone, I highly recommend you do so. Even if you don't necessarily love the show, it's the kind of show that people like us want more of. And they're doing more, but we need to show that support. Go watch Yellowstone.
Totally safe. If I'm moving boards around, if I hit with my elbow.
So we get that point there. Is this better? Or is this better? No, it's bigger. Yeah. So the revolver could not be made to fire without the pulling the trigger. With the hammer only pulled back to those partial positions, quote, there was not enough force to detonate the primer in either circumstances. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier about why you would have it that way, because it's back, but it's not enough force to set off the gun.
But as he showed,
yeah,
it still can go. It can still happen.
Yeah, but not in this situation.
Nope.
Baldwin's attorney said that Baldwin maintains that he does not remember pulling the trigger, but that's how the hammer fell. The hammer fell is irrelevant. How the hammer fell is irrelevant because he believes the bullets were harmless fakes, not lethal ammunition. It's your responsibility to check the gun.
Yeah, and if I was to kill somebody, I would also be like, I don't remember pulling the trigger. I do not recall. I thought the knife was one of those rubber ones that goes back into the handles when I stab them.
Sounds like Cap. All right. No reason to believe there was a lot of bullet on set. In November, Baldwin announced that he and the other producers had reached a settlement with Hutchins' family, and that the production on Rust would resume with her husband Matt as executive producer. Attorneys for Hutchins' husband declined to comment on the status of that supposed settlement or respond to any questions about the contents of the investigation's report. The Rust report does not recommend a course of action or lay blame on any individuals. That's Hollywood.
Well, wait. This is the Rust report. So like this is like
the FBI report on the Rust incident is what they're talking about.
Okay. I thought this was like the self-investigation of the Rust.
Like no. We trust me, guys. We checked it all out. Now it's all good. Trust me. No. We're good.
Alec Baldwin magnifying glass. He's like, I swear, guys. I looked into it myself.
Listen here, okay? I'm Alec Baldwin. All right. If I wanted to kill somebody, I would have killed them. I didn't kill nobody. Yeah. I just don't remember. I don't remember. Oh wait. Okay, so let's finish this up. Does not recommend course of action or lay blame on any individuals, but these findings will help determine whether any of the actions described by the Sheriff's Department and the FBI amount to more than just unfortunate mistakes. If any of it crossed the threshold of criminal negligence, which it definitely did, expect to hear soon from the district attorney. All right, so that's let's actually, I want to watch one more time the report that we had we originally watched, especially if those of you weren't here, because this was more recent. This is this isn't
gun exploding.
Wait, is this more recent?
That's 1 year ago. That's what we want to see. Oh damn.
This was okay. So this is more recent than this, but still, I just wanted to end it all.
Actually, I have something really like today. Literally, I forgot I was gonna say something about it. Like I literally just looked it up. So this came out today. Here I'll send you the link real quick. It's Fox, so it's what do we think about that.
Tucker. Oh, Tucker. Oh, Tucker. That's the same one. That's the 50 cal.
Oh, whoops. What the hell? How did I do that? This
copy and paste. I don't know how to do it. Well, while we're waiting on that,
I pasted.
Alec
Here, I got it now.
rehearsing his quick draw only moments before a film set was transformed into a crime scene. The incident sent police racing to this sprawling desert ranch in New Mexico. Newly released police body cam footage shows the chaos that confronted them on arrival. 42-year-old filmmaker Helena Hutchins, regarded as a rising star in the movie industry, was airlifted to a nearby hospital where she later died.
Are you doing okay?
No, I'm not actually.
Alec Baldwin, who was
I'm
both
not
the
doing
star
well
of the
at
film
all.
and one of its
I'm Alec
producers,
Baldwin.
appeared stunned and disbelieving.
An associate or...
What to do?
Okay.
You tell me what to do.
He said he didn't pull the trigger and he didn't know who put a live round in the weapon he fired.
Stop the caps!
The newly released footage also includes his first interview with the police.
I take the gun out, and then as it clears, as the barrel clears the hole, I turn and cock the gun over here. I turn and cock the gun goes off.
It should have been a cold gun with no rounds inside or dummy rounds, cosmetic rounds, no flash. I take the gun out slowly. I cock the pistol. Bang! It goes up. She hits the ground. She goes down, and then he starts screaming. Stupid! And I'm thinking, in a flash round, I could see maybe if there was wadding and there's some stuff like that hopped, and maybe it hit you and burned you.
So that's why he's talking about under the assumption that it's a dummy round and not a blank. That's where supposedly his confusion is coming from.
They say sometimes that happens. But remember, we're rehearsing, so no one's protected.
Last week, local safety officials issued a report detailing safety failures on the set and fined the producers the maximum possible penalty of nearly $140,000. Inquiries are continuing, and detectives say they're still awaiting the results of ballistics and forensic analysis.
Damn! All right, what do we got here? Is this a video or okay?
No, this is about the medic on the scene or on Rust
Let's see what this
is apparently getting 1.15 million in a
Damn.
settlement.
We gonna play? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? No. All right. Watch. It's gonna play as soon as we.
It's freaking Fox, dude. Yeah, watch. Mine's playing faster than yours is. Oh no, it's not working. Oh, yep, mine played.
Did
That
it?
stupid ad. Yeah, mine
Oh.
started playing. To refresh it.
We might be in that. We might be in that realm where nothing's gonna work anymore. I'm just gonna read it because if nothing's loading, then yep, nothing's loaded. So I'm not gonna touch anything else. So let's go back to this view. A Rust medic, a medic. Oh, she will. Wait, whoa. A Rust medic was awarded 1.15 million in a partial settlement after the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Court records show the partial settlement between Sherilyn Schaefer and Sarah Zachary was approved during a hearing Monday after the prop master missed court deadlines. Rust Movie Productions and the movie's former weapons supervisor, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, and assistant director remain as defendants in the civil case. Zachary's attorney told the court that her previous attorney led deadlines passed without her permission, and she intends to seek damages from him to fund her settlement with Schaefer, so on and so forth. Okay. The medic accused Zachary and other members of being negligent, leading to the death of Hutchins. Schaefer claimed the shock, trauma, and emotional distress from trying to save Hutchins' life has kept her from working. All right. She was obviously killed on the thing, but was charged with involuntary manslaughter, but the prosecutors dropped them in April. Special prosecutors Carrie Morrison and Jason Lewis dropped charges as, quote, new facts revealed that require further investigation. In their motion to dismiss, the special prosecutors noted that the investigation and forensic analysis required cannot be completed before the start of the preliminary hearing, which was scheduled for May 3rd. So let's try this. Let's see now if this is gonna.
Too many pages open.
No, it's just StreamYard. Oh wait, what if I do this? Yep, StreamYard just be like that. It just be like.
But I think what this is saying, what she was saying, pretty much is that she's not. I think she's saying it's not Alec Baldwin's fault. I think she was saying that it was the gun armorer and the person that loaded the gun. I'm pretty sure that's what that dude's name was. The assistant producer that loaded the weapon.
Yeah. How is that video not on?
Yeah, YouTube, dude. YouTube. So it was a day ago. That news report's from a day ago.
All right. Well, so that's where we're at, guys. That is where we're at. It looks like Alec Baldwin got away with murder. I don't know. So, this was meant to be kind of an introduction to a potential series that me and Melty might do together that is going to focus more on the basics of learning about guns, because I think there's too many people who don't know, and most of them are assuming that they do know, so they vote liberal and they are voting to take away guns. I am just as ignorant as them, just a tiny bit more aware of my ignorance, and so. If we can get people to understand a little bit better, then we're all going to be better off. Thank you so much for joining me, Melty. Melted Mind Media. Why don't you tell the people where they can find you and what do you do? Oh, wrong one.
You can find me on YouTube at Melted Mind Media. You can also find me on Twitter at Melted Mind Media. I'm definitely going to be posting a lot of videos soon and doing a lot of streaming. Come check me out there. And I want to thank Indian Jesus for letting me on the podcast, man.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right, well, I'm going to close up and then I will meet you guys over in the after party. That is right. The party never ends. As soon as this is over, we are headed over to Discord where we'll be able to talk about this in a way that we don't have to worry about YouTube or anything like that. So we're going to head over there. Thank you again, Melted Mind Media, and thank you for all the education. Exactly, Nick. Education is the best way. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
I will see you over there, brother. All right, guys. So, that I wasn't really sure how to frame this whole thing of wanting to learn about the basics. So, I had to embed it in the Alec Baldwin story, and we took some detours, and I do think it's important to be aware of what's going on with that. But that was really my goal, to kind of dip my toe in the water of talking with somebody who knows more about a thing than I do, so that we can learn together. So I know I'm a smart person, but I'm not as worldly as I would like to be. Let's put it that way. So things like guns, I would love to be able to learn more. But like I said, everything that you try to search is either super entry level of like, what does the trigger do? Or is like, well, yeah, you take your 7.57 and put it on the back of this stock, and it's like, I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. It's been 5 seconds. So yeah, really cool to start that up. Let me know, guys, with a like, with a comment, with a share, anything like that. If you enjoyed what we did here today, if you're a fan of Melted Mind Media, let me know. I'm here to please you guys. I want as much as I want to learn, there is plenty to learn. And there is plenty more people we could bring on, which I would love to do. So please let me know what you think whenever I try something new. That's a good way to go. Let me know. Do you like it? Should I do it again? Should I not? It's up to you guys. So I want to thank you again for hanging out. I want to shout out Dan Jensen for sponsoring this stream once again, as well as our good friend Indie Film came in last minute with not last minute, but with the $4.99. Really appreciate you guys, and every single one of you guys. I know you could be doing anything, but right now you're hanging out with me, and that is awesome. And I really appreciate it. And I don't know. I'm not getting mushy. All right. Thank you guys. Head over to Discord, or I'm dropping video tomorrow, and then we'll be back for the live show Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, guys, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.